Good evening. Welcome to the Inview. It's 7 o'clock, near enough. I wanted to get it on early to make sure that it was all working and everything okay. I hope you're all well out there and had a good week. As best you can have a good week, and comes out of a prefabricated bubble of illusion that we live in, which is what they are portraying to us, basically. Unfortunately, I mean, we live in a society that's not free anymore. Now, that society is not free anymore. It takes off people like David Icke off of Facebook and YouTube and all sorts, because actually what he's saying is the truth. He's asking the questions. Conspirators are not people that actually conspire against something. They're freedom thinkers. They're people that look between the lines, if you like. Yes, there's a very bad virus going around, but we have that every year. Now, in the circumstances that we sit in a circumstance where we have a world in complete lockdown. Well, some of it isn't. Some of it is opening up now. But we have a pandemic, not a pandemic of a virus, but a pandemic of lies, porn, fear porn thrown at you every day on the TV. I'm going to talk more about that in a minute, but I'm going to tell you about the guests on the show tonight, because we have got a plethora of guests. Very exciting bunch of people. Gemma J. Brooks says, looking forward to today's show. Thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you for looking, watching, and listening. As normal, till 7:20 tonight, you're going to get news of the week, which obviously a lot of it is about coronavirus and certain things that are going on in the world right now. I just want to draw your attention to. And then 7:20 tonight, we have the amazing Fay Vale, lives in Glastonbury. She's a galactic artist inspired by interplanetary energies and guidance from the universe. Fay also offers personal readings in art, from a photograph, original sign artwork and prints, spiritual readings and greeting cards from artwork. Very talented lady, very, very talented lady. And she hasn't been on this show before, so I'm really looking forward to speaking to her, and for her to come on. That'd be really good. She's on at 7:20. When my phone goes off, there she'll be, and she'll be live on air. 7:50 tonight, we've got the return of the amazing Linda Basset, 30 years of experience, spiritualist, clairvoyant, spiritual medium, empath, psychic, spiritual seer, spiritual counsellor, mediumship, mentor, and tutor. She's also a very talented lady, has a very strong outlook on today's world, and has a realist approach of today's world as well. 8:20 tonight, we have the amazing Melanie Kelloway, been on before, spiritual psychic medium, Reiki healer, qualified back and shoulder masseuse, and also another person that has very strong views on today and what's going on in the world. You know, it's very important. I do this show, and I do a show on a Thursday, and then we have, of course, 8:50. Mustn't forget this. International Man of Mystery of the Universe is coming on. So I don't know who he is. We'll find out when we get there, 8:50 tonight. But we got a long way to go before we get there. I've been doing these shows for some time now. And I had started to do a Thursday night show, which is very much about you interacting with us, basically. It's very much about, your views, what you want to talk about. It doesn't have to be about coronavirus. It can be about anything. And I think it's a very important medium. And a lot of people start to listen to that, which is really good, and watch it and give me their comments and everything. We had a fantastic chat with Matthew John, who called on Thursday. And that's on this Thursday again. I'll tell you about that near the end of the show. And also I'll tell you about the guests we got coming on in May as well, because we've booked up the whole of May already, which is really good. This show and News of the Week and Thursday shows really look between the weeds of what's going on, really. I mean, unfortunately, we're told absolutely bucket loads of lies in the press. And, I know that it has caused it division and everything, but I look at what's sensible, what's reality, and against what they show us. Now, I've got Simon Heathcott who put a comment on Facebook, which really I want to read to you. Simon Heathcott is coming on the show in June, not too far away. He said to me he's flying to Heathrow Friday, and he said there's no staff or police at the airport in Berlin wearing masks, and nobody at Heathrow. Not a single person approached me about anything. The airport was empty. I showed my passport to a man, again, no mask, and walked straight through. He says, wake up, people. Who put funding into Imperial College? Who started this thing? The WHO, the World Health Organization, the UK Vaccine Network, and numerous other global health agencies. Bill Gates, who is now brazenly, without any qualification, dictating our future, which includes vaccines for all that's not needed, and under skin identity tattoos. Yet we lay down and roll over. He then intends to charge around £250 per vaccine. Is this making any sense at all? No, it isn't. You know, I don't want to dwell too much on the bits and pieces I spoke about before, because I've spoken on here loads and loads of times. The fact that the lies, the deceit, and everything else. I mean, you only have to look at the news today, and you go on the BBC website. I mean, Matt Cock said that he would hit 100,000 testing by the end of April. Well, he's short on the BBC. So he hasn't done what he said he's going to do. And I cannot for the life of me understand why we are still having a conversation and find out what's going on. And we haven't done it. And we've been sold down the river, basically. And to be honest, how many people would actually go out there and have a test? I don't feel there would be many, to be honest. They can't seem to get people in the test centres. Excuse me. About through this whole crisis, still a problem with PPE. I cannot believe it. It just doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense at all. It's beyond words. She hasn't been on the show before, or I don't think. Yeah, she has been on once. Sorry, I just got to look her up to get it. Here we go. She put this on her wall, and I think it's really important to read things out like this. She said, "I'm not sure if anyone can help, but my mum's put COVID-19 on the death certificate. The family want this taken off, as it wasn't the case. As it wasn't the case. I've seen this as happened to others, so just wonder if anyone knew what to do in this situation." There's a lot of people. You die, it's COVID-19, COVID-19, COVID-19. There is some massive, huge plot here to undermine and treat the population with contempt, because that we sit in. I mean, I was listening to David Icke's on London Live tonight, and he was talking about the fact of the hospital. Now, I put things on my wall because I'm not happy about them. I know the NHS. I have a lot of respect for the NHS. They're very, very hard working. Why are they underfunded? Well, it's down to this government. On the government, they haven't had the funds. Why do we build hospitals that have nobody in them? 4,000 beds in up to 5 locations now that they've taken over mass places. Nobody in them. They're all kitted out as well with ventilators and everything you can possibly, and PPE. But the people on the front line, that 24,474 people die of hunger. A pure and simple thing. You go to the supermarket, they can't. They ain't got any money. They ain't got any food. They ain't got any money to buy anything. They're undernourished people. 3, so far this year, deaths caused by water-related diseases, and 801,004,944 people do not have access to safe water. And if we go down and we look at the seasonal flu deaths this year, from the Worldometer, you can look at it, worldometer.com. Abortions this year, deaths basically, 14,413,095, and it keeps going up and up and up. Mothers that died during birth, 104,788. I just want to put a perception on this. And deaths caused by HIV and AIDS this year, 569,920. Of course, a lot of people think it doesn't exist anymore. Of course it does. And suicides, of course, 363,552 so far this year. Now, a lot of you may think, well, what doesn't matter? Do you know what I mean? But of course it matters. It matters a lot. We can't just concentrate on one thing. The problem in our world we live in is we don't look at root causes. We don't try and tackle things. We try and stick plasters on things. We try and make do with things. This is a case of actually getting at the main problem. And the main problem is that there is a massive divide within our world of the people that have so much and the people that have nothing. And it's not right. That on top of you know, a lot of other terrible things going on in the world as well. I'm only going to give you another bunch of statistics here, which is basically missing children yearly. Do you realize children that go missing yearly in America, 460,000, in the UK, 113,000, in Germany, 100,000, Canada, 50,000, Mexico, 45,000, Brazil, 40,000, and France, 39,000. Where are they? Where'd they go? Who's taken them? Obviously, we do know with what we see in the press and everything, whatever you think of Donald Trump, he has been doing something undercover in relation to releasing a lot of children that I would only say are in Hunger Games country. These are children that are being groomed for paedophilia or being groomed for food or wherever it may be. These are not very nice people. These elite people. Elite people. You would be shocked who's involved in this, I can tell you. And 35,000 of them have been released. Thank God. And they are breaking up in the background a huge cartel of a massive paedophilic organization that we haven't seen the full results of yet at all. So there's a lot of things going on here. And only today on Facebook, parents of the child that got hit by the woman, Harry, I think his name is, knocked off his bike and killed. Nothing happened about it. All of a sudden, it's starting to re-emerge. Lots of things are starting to re-emerge. Like all of a sudden, after the 8 weeks or 6 weeks, 7 weeks, or whatever we've had of this captivity or prison sentence in a way, and I know it's not a prison sentence as it should be, because we can walk out a door but you can't go anywhere or do anything. So it is like a prison for a lot of people, and a lot of people are in fear, and I understand that. And there's a lot of propaganda to keep you penned in your house. But there is a lot of people that are saying, no, we're not having this anymore. And people in America are campaigning like mad. There's been campaigns here. Glastonbury today, there was a campaign where people stand up saying, we've had enough of this. And, you know, we are apparently going to get some sort of clear strategy from Boris at the end of this week of how we actually exit lockdown. Because, you know, it's not only about coming out of lockdown, it's about restoring something back to this world in relation to our country, jobs, security, food. I mean, you look at in America, they're queuing for miles just to get food from food banks because people haven't got any money. And now they're starting to think, well, what's the damage going to be to psychological damage to people? It's going to be enormous. The abuse, the divorces, all of the things that that were waiting to happen are happening now. And not enough people are talking about that. Not enough people is bringing it to the attention. Not enough people is talking about homeless people on the streets who have not been in isolation. They have nowhere to live. They have no house. You know, what do? Forget about them? Do we forget about other souls, other humans like that? It's just wrong. It's all wrong. Completely and utterly wrong. But, you know, that is where we sit at this moment in time. And as you know yourselves listening out there watching, and if you watch this afterwards when the show's done, you'll be saying, yeah, what is going on? What is going on? We still have thousands of people arriving daily, not being checked. And they're still dithering about saying, well, we might do that. Well, by the time they get around to doing it, it won't matter because nobody's going to be coming here. And how does it look for our future? How do you come out of lockdown when you put everyone in a situation they're in? And, you know, what they've done is basically take away your human rights. Your human rights are being in question here, because it's your human right to interact. It's your human right to go to work, earn money. It's your human right to go and have a beer, to go to a shop, apart from a food shop. How many people are sick to death of going to food shops? I mean, that's the only thing you can do. I do know that B&Q and places like that are open now, and I do know that other places are starting to open. But this is going to be as wishy-washy as the whole of the situation. Boris Johnson and his whole crowd need to be in The Hague, and they need to be absolutely pulled through the ringer, because they've let down the British people. They're not interested in any of us. They're multi-millionaires that sit around a table. Some people won't agree with me. Don't worry if you don't. It's fine. I'm only telling you what I feel, because I feel it passionately right from the beginning. Coronavirus, not real. Not real. It's a, yes, bad virus. I remember going to doctor. When you go to doctor, what's he give you? Oh, it's a virus. You have to go home. Just relax. But before that, they used to give you loads and loads of antibiotics. Of course, they don't do that now, which means they don't get paid a fortune of money. Do you know what I mean? For giving you them. But, you know, we will obviously touch on various things as we go throughout the show in relation to coronavirus, obviously, but there are other things going on in the world. And today is actually it is the anniversary of the disappearance of Madeleine McCann. And that's that Kate and Jerry usually attend a prayer service and everything, but obviously they're not, because they're in lockdown. This is Madeleine McCann, who went missing in Portugal because her parents went and sat and had something to eat and left the children in the place, in the chalet, what you want to call it. So much talk has been of the McCanns and Madeleine and what happened to her and all sorts of that. It's a terrible, terrible story. And again, like I've got a feeling about this coronavirus, I do believe, I'm not saying they did, but allegedly, I do believe that they have some sort of foot in what's going on. I feel there's something there that is not right and hasn't been right. What else we got? A serial flasher dubbed the Naked Carpenter has been jailed for wearing see-through trousers. Robert Jennett, 45. Why do they put ages in it? Has been to a pub in the mesh kit with no undies. On what police and where police stopped him. He was laughing. He called it a bit of a laugh, but the police didn't find it very funny. Naked Carpenter wore see-through trousers and no pants in town city centre. It's a bit of a strange story, but it lightens things up a little bit. If you want to interact with this show, obviously you can't ring, because we're going to have guests on as from very shortly. Well, in a minute, in fact. But you can Facebook me. You can Facebook message me at Clint Denyer, or WhatsApp me at Clint Denyer, and I'll read out your comments if you can't put your comments in the box on YouTube itself. With a lot of interesting guests tonight. As I said, we've got Fay Vale coming up any minute. And then we have Linda Basset. And then we have Melanie Kelloway. And then we have a man of mystery. Who is he? What is he doing? But if you have anything, or if you have any suggestions of what you'd like to talk about for the coming Thursday show, please send them in. Text me 07403 436 942, or Facebook message me at Clint Denyer, or the same at WhatsApp with Clint Denyer. We're going to see where young Miss Fay Vale is. We're going to give her a ring, actually. The first time she's been on. It's going to be really good. We're going to get her on Facebook Messenger, I think. Let's see if we can get her on the phone. Oh, She's ringing. Here she is. Hello, Fay. Hello, Fay. Hello, Fay.
Hi.
How are you? Sorry, I was ringing you on Facebook. Sorry.
I got one phone. I was trying to ring you, and the other phone was going off.
How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. Apart from the lockdown, we're all a bit had enough of that now.
I think we're all getting jaded with it. Yeah, I think you're right. People are getting
a bit on the news, but it was only really on off.
Yeah. It's fantastic to have you on. I haven't seen you for a very long time, but it's fantastic to have you live on the show.
Thank you. Nice to connect again. A long while.
I know, it is a long while. Yeah, some years. You do. I briefly said, but, let people know what you do and everything.
Okay, then. Well, hi there. My name's Fay. I originally come from Leicester in the Midlands, but I've moved around to several places. My last place is just outside Glastonbury at the moment. But when I was in my early 20s, I had a US at the time where I come from, and we had friends round in the evening. So it was after 11 at night. My husband went to bed, and I said, I'll wash the coffee cups up and I'll be up. So I did a couple of jobs. Went to the front door to put my milk bottle on the step, because we had a milk bottle at the time. Those
were the days.
Sorry?
Those were the days, milk bottles.
Oh, yeah. But anyway, I opened the door, the front door, and bent to put the bottle on the step, and I heard this humming noise. It was nearly 12 o'clock at night by then.
Really?
And, yeah. And the noise was just like a low humming, and it just went, and I thought, what's that this time of night? Because all the neighbours had gone to bed, and we lived opposite a golf course at the time, so it was pitch black in front.
Yeah.
And I looked up, and there was a massive, what I know is a spaceship now, but at the time I didn't know what it was.
Was that like an oval shape, a round shape or whatever?
No, it was cigar shaped.
Oh, okay.
It was stationary.
And how far roughly were you from it? I mean, obviously, it's in the sky.
Well, it was overhead the houses, but it was quite high up. But saying that, it was large.
Wow.
And it was a bright orange colour. But as it pulsated, it got lighter and darker, so the orange would come bright and then dull and bright and dull, and it went like that, pulsating. Well, of course, you can imagine, I've never experienced anything like that before, and I just ran in and slammed the door because it scared the hell out of me.
Yeah.
But
when you spoke to people about it, I don't expect anyone believed you, did they?
Oh, no. Well, the funny thing was, I went inside, and I was tempted to look out the window, but scared in case something were looking back at me.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the funny thing was, I went to bed that night. I went and had a second look and stood there for 5 minutes, and it never moved.
Yeah.
And in the end, I just shut the door and went to bed. The next morning, I never even thought about it. Never crossed my mind. It's like it never happened. And then different things happened to me. I began to see spirit people, and there's stuff going on, aware of energies and that. It completely changed me psychically. And I was a lot more aware of different things. So it did have an effect on me.
Yeah. And what age were you there?
I was in my early 20s then.
Yeah.
But then about 15 years later, I had another experience. And by that time, I had two young sons. Well, 14 and 15. And they used to go fishing in the local canal near where we lived, and they said, get us up at 3 a.m, Mum, we're going night fishing. So poor old Mum had to put the alarm on for 2 in the morning. I got out of bed when my alarm went. Of course, the first thing I did was look out the window because the boys were going fishing, see what the weather was like. And in the sky, there was a formation of stars that was really unusual, and I hadn't seen anything like it before. It was a clear night, and there was 5 stars together, and the only way I can describe is it, you know, the 5 dots on a domino.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was in that formation, so there was in like 4 dots in a square and 1 in the middle.
Wow.
And I stood looking at them and I thought, that's strange. I've never noticed stars like that before. And all of a sudden, they started darting all over the place at tremendous speed and ridiculous angles.
Well, that clearly are not ordinary aeroplanes or helicopters, because they're going at such fast speed, aren't they?
Oh, yeah, and the turns and that they were doing, there's no way a plane could turn like that. It just automatically just changed direction. And
how did you feel about that? Were you scared of that, or you were just intrigued?
No, I was fascinated.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what it was, but I knew it wasn't anything from our planet unless it was some secret plane that
well,
released.
Yeah. We do know that has gone on, but
yeah.
You know, it's obvious. It's obvious to me, and I would think most people listening or watching that we are not alone.
Oh, definitely not. Definitely not.
And I would go as far. Well, I know with talks I've done in the past, research I've done. I mean, extraterrestrial beings have been here for centuries. Oh
yeah, right back to Egyptian times.
Yeah.
That's as far back as you could trace them in drawings and things, I think. And,
yeah.
You know, artifacts.
I mean, they actually found recently a coin, a silver coin, old silver coin in Egypt, which has got instead of a person's head on it, it's got an extraterrestrial on it.
I saw that. Yeah, that's really interesting. But then you think the Egyptians, when they had the elongated heads as well,
yes.
Don't you?
Yeah, the same as the Incas as well. Long, elongated heads, which they're saying they bound them and all sorts. No, they didn't. I mean, when you have pharaohs like Akhenaten, who was actually a shift shaper and could have a man or woman's body and looked extraterrestrial. And if you look at all the pharaohs had sort of almond eyes, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's really interesting when you go back and also was it Russia where they found the giant skeletons as
and
well?
India, Russia and India and China, and giants do exist. Nephilim that they were, if you want to go back to Bible and things like that, and the Anunnaki, and the Enochians as well. I mean, it's been going on for a long time. And when you look in the sky at night now, Faye, you know, you can see clearly there's ships out there.
Yeah.
You know, when you look in the sky at night and they say, no, it's satellites, it's this and that. It's not. No, it's not. I mean, when you stand outside and look out, I looked out the other night and there is always these, looks like stars, but it's not. They pulsate in the sky and they're different colors and they move about, they wobble a little bit. There's lots of them. They're not stars.
No. Well, a few years ago when I lived right near the Tutor in Glastonbury, it was a summer evening and it was 9 o'clock and there was this star in the sky and it just looked different to the others. For some reason, it just stood out. And as we watched it, there was a little light dropped out the bottom to form a small star under it. It wasn't a star, it was some sort of ship, I believe. And then another one, and in the end, it was the big, what you'd call a star maybe. And then there was 3 small ones under it, and they just sat there. And there was a good hour, and then all of a sudden they all shot back into the big one, and it zoomed off. Yeah. Crazy stuff.
I know, I see that years and years ago when I was 11 years old, standing on Marley Common and looking up the sky. There was hundreds of ships all flying around this big light. And they all went into it.
Yeah. But the last sighting I had was in 2007, and that was by then I'd got a paranormal team, and we used to go around haunted places and do videos and all sorts of stuff, and send spirits on and whatnot. And so we used to meet up once a month, and everybody'd take their evidence, and we'd show each other what we'd picked up. But this particular night I'd gone with a friend of mine who was also in the group. And we lived in Lincolnshire then. On the way home, which was 12ish again at night, we was going along a country road. When it's a really dark road, you've not got the normal street light.
Yeah.
And we're going along towards where we lived in Lincolnshire, and there's this bright light coming towards us on the road. And but just before we noticed the bright light, there was a big white owl flew in front of the windscreen. She was driving, made me jump, and it landed on the tree at the side of us. And I said to her, wow, I've never seen a white owl before. And she said, no, it's unusual for this area. And the next thing we know, this big, bright, round light's coming towards us on the road. Well, we thought it was a car with its lights on full beam, because sometimes they look like one if you're a while way away. But anyway, it's coming towards us at a tremendous speed, and the nearer it got, the bigger it got, and in the end it was covering well across the whole of the road. It was a round, bright light. And it's funny, but although it was really bright, you could still look at it. And it came towards us at such a speed that we thought whatever it was going to hit us. So she slammed her foot on the brake. Of course, we came to an almighty standstill, and it just went backwards and disappeared. And we just sat there and looked at each other and thought, what the hell was that? So,
I mean, I'm sure a lot of people out there listening, watching, or even when they go back and re-listen to this program or whatever, will say, yeah, I've experienced that. Yeah, so many people have experienced things, even down to not just sightings, but abductions and everything else as well, and connections to well, in a way, we're all connecting to extraterrestrial source because we're all from that source.
Of course. That's why we're being watched carefully at the moment.
I think so, yes.
That's going on. But 2 weeks after that encounter, although nothing happened to my friend who was driving, I started drawing left-handed, although I'm a right-handed person. I draw right-handed now, but for a start, everything I got was left-handed, and I'd be up at 3 a.m. looking for paper and pen because I couldn't stop doing it. It was,
And this was something you didn't do before?
No, never been interested in art. I left school when I was young, straight to a job. Never had no higher education, so nothing, no. In between, I got married, had kids, the usual stuff. And so, never had no training in art or anything. And
were you amazed when you drew these pictures, what they symbolised?
Well, for a start, it was just scribbling like a 2-year-old would do. And then I must have been doing it about 3 weeks. And then I did it one morning and it was a fish. And I thought, flipping heck, at least I've got something I
can relate to, yeah.
But then after that, I started drawing war things, which, being a woman, I weren't really interested in war. If it had been a guy, yeah.
Yeah.
But I was drawing tanks, battleships, burial sites where soldiers had been buried, aeroplanes, runways, and loads and loads of stuff like that I wouldn't even be interested in. I even had a drawing of 2 guys who died in a submarine, and I got their names and the name of the submarine, and when I looked it up, it was a Russian submarine that went down. So
wow. And obviously this was your because before your psychic ability and that you're using here as well in a massive way, aren't you? In seeing through dimensional realms, really, and there's something touched you or something opened you up in a trigger mechanism by what you met.
Yeah, well, I did have lots of beings in my bedroom. I had great little greys and little like robotic.
When did you have that? What age were you?
Oh, this was just after
Yeah.
I got my drawing. I'd get stuff in the bedroom at night, and it got to a point where I'd stay up as long as possible because I was scared to go to bed.
Yeah.
So
and nobody would believe you.
I didn't tell anybody.
No. I know what you mean, because I had it when I was 3. I had 5 come to me for 2 weeks.
Yeah. It's not the sort of thing you can go out and say, hey, I had an alien in my
No, you can't. But I mean, you know, on your journey with that, I mean, what they're doing is they're obviously using you as a medium for what it is that they want to tell. I mean, obviously, in relation to what you're drawing, you're not into war and things like that. But in a way, they were showing you things that they'd seen.
Well, what it built up to was I was drawing runways with, with planes and things. And then I started drawing rockets and rocket launches. And from rocket launching, I got to drawing UFOs. And I'd get draw maps of where they'd been, what they were made of. I even had a download of an airflow system.
Right. Did you draw that, did you?
It was crazy. But of course, there wasn't really people you could talk to. But I kept diaries from then, and I wrote it all down. So I've still got all my notes with the dates and the times and everything on.
Yeah. And
you got to get it somewhere, ain't you?
Well, you have, absolutely. And you know, in a way, I mean, they switched you on, didn't they? Because now, I mean, obviously, many fantastic piece of art. Cards. Yeah,
I got some. I got a download of these images that I drew in pencil. They were drawn left-handed, and I didn't know what I had to do with them. And I realised that there had to be cards, so I made a pack of cards with them. I hadn't any money at the time, but I was desperate to get them done because I knew that was part of my deal, so to speak. So I got a £3,000 loan and did it.
Wow. And obviously very successful.
Yeah, I still sell them now, and lots of people, I've had lots of good feedback from them. But also I do readings in art now as well, and if somebody sends me a photo, email a photo, as long as I can see their full face, I can connect with the energy, and then I do whatever image comes, because it just starts with a dot or a squiggle, and I never know what it's going to be. Some people get an animal, some people get strange writing, some people get images of beings, and then I can do a reading from it. I do a reading, each line on the drawing will say what it's about, and then a bit of a personal reading and a conclusion, and I do 3 cards and see what comes from the cards. So it's quite good reading in a way, but it's interesting because you don't know what you're going to get.
Yeah, and you said that is you use a different language, light language, I call it.
Yeah, I get lots of when I first started drawing, I got lots of writing in strange, which strange writing, and I thought, well, I keep getting this, but I don't know what it's about. What's the point in getting it if I don't understand it? So I'm thinking, well, if they're giving it to me, it's a two-way connection. So I asked, if they could put it in my own language.
Yeah.
And for a start, it took quite a while, and sometimes the spelling's like somebody who's dyslexic would spell it.
Yeah.
So you get the spelling as it's said. But sometimes they'd say that they couldn't find the right words to fit in. But now it's perfect. Well, not perfect, but because they won't always translate if they don't want me to know properly.
Yeah.
But if I get writing, I can ask and say what's this writing mean.
But when you start, sorry to butt in, but when you start, when they want you to write something, do you have to write it? You can't stop until you've written it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like the words. You'll know what I mean. It's just like the words come in your head, and you write them. It's like somebody's.
But you can be having a cup of tea, but still do it.
Oh yeah.
You know.
I mean, lots of my drawings I'll do at night while the TV's on, and I'm watching some on TV and drawing at the same time. It's like, and I think that was the whole idea of doing it left-handed for a start, because like I don't normally use a left hand. I have no control over it unless you're really looking. You can use it, but there's no control over it.
Yeah.
So that's the perfect channel for them to come down. Whereas if I do it with my right hand, my mind controls it. So say I drew a horse. If I'm not happy with the image, I'll change it because my mind's telling me that that's not right. But if I do it with my left hand, that my mind doesn't come in and say, "Hey, you've drawn that wrong."
Yeah.
So it's a perfect way, really, to.
And you know what I get with the light language, because I write light language, as you know yourself.
Yeah.
And I got very strongly that, you know, it's okay to write this now because you ain't going to get persecuted. Because, you know, there was a time when we wrote this language and we were persecuted for writing it.
That's right.
And to give you an idea, I don't know if you can. Yeah, I don't know if you can see a screen or if you've got me on YouTube at the moment watching it or whatever. But just to give you an idea of what light language is. If anyone can see that, that's sort of light language.
Yeah, actually, you did some for me once when we met at one of the fairs, and I've still got it. So I know what yours is like, and it's really interesting.
Yeah, fascinating stuff. And, you know, when you start it, you run through it until you've done it. That's it.
That's right. That's right. And sometimes some words are linked together because you can do that fast. Like, you know.
Yeah. Absolutely. And, you know, with your connections in relation, because a lot of people out there would say, oh, you know, the extraterrestrial is not going to save us and all sorts of that. I mean, I've done loads and loads of research on this in the past. And, you know, basically what we've got is very megalomaniac, materialistic, very highly evolved technical beings in the West that are without soul and want one, basically. And they've done a trade-off with certain governments in the West to try and get it. And that's through abductions and cattle mutilations, all manner of different things. And then you've got on the eastern side, what I've been told, in underground installations there in Russia and other places, really good light beings that have not come out yet.
Yeah. Well, when all this, I can ask and see if they'll tell me anything. And when this lockdown began, I think it was about March the 22nd, was it?
Yeah.
I asked, and it said, our emotions are in place to go forward from all of the discipline that is being spoken to you at this time. This is only temporary as we are assessing the subject and addressing the movements of those who are disrupting your peace and subsequent freedom. if you are in doubt, this is what you just said, look to the skies as we are around every corner to protect that is yours and that is ours. Do not own we do not own your planet, but we have been put into action to upload all those to uphold all those that wish to live as one. All the powers that have prevailed for a long, long time are now being dematerialized and invisible. To accomplish this, we must look beyond. The planet you live on has many riches, and they belong to all those who move forward into the unity of, will the virus last, if there is one, right? And they said there will be a lull, and when there is new and occurrences will bring your planet back into its own power. It has been governed for too long now with the species that are not of good energies.
No.
They will all die and as the new takes over in the future day. And I said, how long will it take? And they said 2.25 months, but it will happen. But when they say it'll die, I don't mean like they're going to die.
I understand what you mean. Yeah.
It just means they're going to stop on the reality they're in.
Well, there has been a battle on this planet for a very long time against light and dark, and to suppress the light, basically, through the mass manipulation of dark that sits here. But I do feel, and you probably agree, it's fact actually what we sit in is a place of celebratory, I think, because I think we won.
Oh, definitely. You know, people wonder what life will be like after the lockdown, and there's so much stuff going around. But the fact that we have been in lockdown and we've been isolated has given us time to you know, find our real true self again.
Well, it's also about learning to actually be you.
That's right. No, that's spot on. Spot on, and it's a massive change, and it's, you know, we're all sort of like moving on.
Yeah.
And this is what's had to happen, because other than that, we're going to totally destroy our planet. Yeah.
And
crazy stuff.
Even though there's people like Trump, a lot of people ain't got a lot of time for Trump, he's actually doing a lot of good things at the moment because he doesn't sit in that corporate world of these people. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, the best thing about Trump is he's a massive wooden spoon and he stirs everything, and people sit up and think, oh, what's that about? And that's what he's done, and he's brought so much stuff to the surface, and whether you agree with him or not,
you're absolutely right.
That makes you sit up and listen.
Yeah.
You know?
Matthew John's joined us. My cousin bro Jason's joined us. Debbie Johnson says, feel that this is true. Something is stirring, and I believe they will reveal themselves soon. And Sharon Actual says, hello, Clint. Hello to all. YouTube is much better. It is. And Matthew John says, hi, Shaz. Yes, agree. The fact that you know, these people within inside ourselves, because we have source within inside our soul, within universal energy that's created from the universe itself, which means that part of us is unidentifiable on Earth with any science.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah. So this is a massive evolution for us.
Yeah.
Because we're actually moving into what we should be.
Yes.
This is why these governments and these people in power are so scared.
Yeah.
Because they know they can't exist in the same realms as what we can.
No, they can't, because it's all about belief, and belief is a key. It's magic. We wake up and believe. That's the key. That's the key.
Right.
Sorry?
No, that's right. Plus, it's not about power and greed.
No.
It's about those nearest and dearest and the people you care about.
Yeah.
You know? So,
yeah, it's not about McDonald's and having the most money and all the rest of it, you know, because that's all very old news. And that is not what it's about. We can see that clearly in the survival mode we're in. All we are really as a human needing is a roof, if we're lucky and not homeless, and food, and you know, clothes, and obviously, you know, something to cook on and something to keep warm with.
Yeah, that's it. So we're being taught back to basics.
Yeah.
Which is where the only place we need to be to begin again, isn't it, really?
Well, we do, and it is about rebirth. It is about a new connection. I'll tell you what, you've been absolutely fascinating, young lady. I'm sure a lot of people out there, I don't know where half an hour goes. I really don't. And you know, if people want to catch up with you and connect with you and your artwork or your cards or to have a chat or anything like that, they can get hold of you where?
Well, I have got a website. It's www.galacticart.co.uk.
Brilliant.
I'm also on Facebook. I've got a page called ET Connections where we have all spacey stuff on and people can connect who've had experiences and that.
Brilliant.
And also, I've got a book on Amazon that I published called E.T. as Artist.
Yeah.
And that's got my art in and how my art began and that, if anybody's interested. But, so I'm always interested in...
That's fantastic. And is it right that you're doing a conference soon, aren't you?
I've got a conference organised. I'm doing a conference in Wales, but it's a bit iffy at the minute with what's going on.
Yeah.
But I'm doing my own conference in Glastonbury in September if it comes about. It's already all booked up, but I've just got some local people who I know have had ET experiences, so it won't be anybody famous on there.
No.
Because I want it to come from people who've had their own experiences, and these people have never spoken in public about it, so it's interesting.
It might be quite good to get the Inview along there and do a bit of interview and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Be really good.
I booked it for September the 3rd, but we'll have to see after this lockdown what's happening. But I'm flexible on the date, so it's definitely going ahead, so I can keep you posted.
That's brilliant. Well, please let me know when it's definitely confirmed, because we're obviously going to get you on before that, because now you've been on, we're going to get you on again. You know what I mean?
Okay, I don't mind.
So it's really good. And, you know, I could talk to you for every guest I can talk to forever, you know, but the problem is we've got a bit of a limit and it's fit a lot of people in. And it's important to, you know, I think what you come over with was brilliant. I feel it gives people food for thought. And realistically, you just join the dots up in relation to people, in relation to what they're thinking, because there is a lot of people thinking that there are races here to help us, and there is.
Well, all I'd like to say before you finish is, if you have experiences, don't be scared to speak about them, because you're not on your own. There's hundreds and thousands of us who've had experiences. So, you know, be like the gay person and come out and be
absolutely come out of the closet of UFOlogy. All right. Thank you very much, Faye. You've been absolutely brilliant.
Okay, Clint. It's been nice talking to you and everybody else.
Yeah, let me know how it goes, and we'll get you back on in a not too distant future.
Okay then, take care.
All right, thanks, Faye. All right. Bye. There it is. The amazing Fay Vale. Lives in Glastonbury. You heard there her story, if you like. Her story in relation to basically getting into UFOs and what's happened to her experiences. She's organised a big conference, hopefully for September in Glastonbury. And there she is getting people together that's never spoken public before about their experiences. And, you know, if you've had experiences and all sorts of abduction or you've seen strange things, and believe me, at night, I mean, not particularly a good night tonight, it's quite grey, but at night when you look in the sky, there is an enormous array of things going on, and they're not all what they're telling us. They're not all satellites and things like that. I know they're not, because there's something else there. And, you know, if we have the opinion that we are the only people within the universe that exists, or universes, then we aren't. basically. There's hundreds of thousands of different species. And some are here, and some are actually in human form. Fascinating guest. Brilliant. We have got coming up next Linda Basset. Linda Basset has got a vast array of abilities and skills that she has within inside herself and around her. She is, just bring it up here. She is 30 years experience, spiritualist, clairvoyant, medium, spiritual medium, empath, psychic, spiritual seer, spiritual counselor, mediumship mentor, and tutor. So vast experience. Plus she has her own individual understanding of what's going on and everything. She hasn't rang because she probably thought I'm going to run over. So we're going to get hold of her. Going to give her a bow, and see what she. I don't need to. I think she's on the phone. Hello, is that Linda?
Hello, Clint.
Hello, how are you?
Yes, I'm very well, thank you. And how are you?
I'm very well. Yes, not too bad at all.
I'm sorry, I haven't been able to tune into your show very much this evening because the signal here is really weak. So therefore, it buffers a lot. Yeah.
Is it all right when the show's been recorded? Is that all right then?
I can rewatch it. Sometimes it still buffers.
All right. Well, I'm sorry about that.
Live, it's not very good at all, unfortunately. But then I do live out in the sticks, so yeah, you would expect that.
Well, it's fantastic to have you on because I know you're on a few weeks ago, but it's great to have you on. This is your guest slot. I mean, you've been working it a long time, 30 years, spirituality and everything else. We've just been talking. We went right off grid just now. We've just been talking about UFOs and that they're here to help us and everything else, and that it's about a change of consciousness. Really, is what Fay was talking about. Really, in relation to what's going on.
That's interesting because I've had a very strange object looking in my bedroom window
Have you?
Last couple of months. Very, very bright, low in the sky. It's not a star. It's not a planet. And yes, I do wonder.
And does it move?
It sort of bobs up and down. I do feel that we're being watched. That we're observed. I feel we're being observed.
Yeah. I don't think it's a bad thing. I don't get it's a bad thing.
I feel bad. It's a bit uncomfortable when I'm trying to get ready for my bed. Close the curtain.
You can imagine all these beings sitting on around their sofa and all sorts, watching TV and watching your house. Do you know what I mean?
So yes, that feels a bit weird, thinking that they may be watching in that respect.
I don't think they're there to do that. I think they're there as observers and seeing, particularly at the moment, because my God, if we get in one of the worst stages of our history right now, I don't think we ever will be, because we're in an absolutely cataclysmic place, aren't we?
Well, we are, and strangely enough, I'm feeling very, very, very angry at this very moment.
Okay.
Because of something that's just happened.
All right.
I will share with you. However, this week, I was going through some papers and I came across a reading, a writing, if you like, which somebody did many, many years ago, and they gifted it to me, which I was very pleased about because I can use it in my church work.
Yeah.
But it also reminded me that I used to channel writings years ago. Well, over the last decade, 12, 14 years. And one of them I've reread just yesterday. And when I've read it back, I cannot believe how much it resonates with what's going on now.
Wow. And how long ago did you write that?
This was written in 2016. So that was 4 years, nearly 5 years ago, June 16.
Wow.
So I wondered if your listeners might
Yeah, of course. By all means, yes, share it with us. That'd be lovely.
Because I think it will be quite comforting as well.
Yeah.
But the reason I'm angry, I mean, it takes a lot for me to get angry. However, I live not far from a block of flats.
Okay.
And there's a young couple live in that block of flats, and they've been going out every single day, and come back with a car boot full of shopping. So, I feel they're being quite selfish.
Mm.
However, the lady in question has just published on social media that she has now got all the symptoms of coronavirus.
Oh, my God.
And that she nearly called an ambulance last night.
Right.
And, it takes a lot for me to get angry.
Mm.
But she was blaming other people, that it was other people's fault.
Yeah, well, clearly, you don't need to go and buy shopping every day, do you?
Every single day. No, you don't.
Well, you don't. You, in some cases, if, you can actually have it delivered and things. You don't have to go out and get it.
So, and I just felt they're not out shopping every day to help other people.
No.
They're clearly only serving themselves, and now they're trying to blame other people because she's unwell. And it may or may not be coronavirus, who knows? But that has just made me, it's literally just happened.
Wow.
And I just thought, I can't believe what I was reading.
Well, that epitomises a lot of British society, isn't it? When this all started, they go and hoard hundreds of toilet rolls and food. They buy billions of pounds worth of food, buy extra fridges and freezers, put it in. And they're not interested in the little old lady or the guy that's got to go there and buy something, and there isn't anything. Do you know what I mean?
And there was something I saw on social media, which isn't personal to me, but it was a lady teaching a boy a lesson where this old lady was trying to buy syringes because she was diabetic.
Yeah.
And he was selling them for £50.
My God.
For a pack. And so anyway, this lady spent every penny and bought the last pack that he had, and then took them to this lady because she wanted to share them with somebody else who was diabetic, to find this boy sat by the bed, and it was his mother. And he said, my mum's run out of syringes. She's diabetic. She can't inject herself. Please, will you help us?
Yeah.
And the lady did.
Wow.
And she didn't want anything for the syringes, even though she earlier in the day paid that same boy £50 for the syringes.
Yeah.
And she said, this is about we, this is about us.
Yeah.
This is about us getting through this together.
Yeah.
Helping each other.
Yeah.
The I doesn't, it takes me back to my corporate days, team. There's no I in team.
No, there isn't. No, you're right. Because we have to get through it together. We have to be benevolent. We have to show compassion and understanding. But unfortunately, there is a vast percentage of people that are not in that zone.
No. And of course, I think the reason also it made me angry is because that young couple live in a block of flats. There's not just one front door they're touching when they go into their place of residence. There's a lot of doorways and hallways, and obviously numerous people that they potentially come into contact with on a regular basis.
Yeah.
So only time will tell, and we can only wait and see. So it's probably quite good I've got these readings out, which it's going to calm me down for a start. And hopefully it will, I hope your listeners will enjoy.
Well, I'm sure they will. Go ahead and read them.
So I'll read this first one, which was gifted to me, and I've used this in my church work a lot throughout the years. And it's called Let Me Hear You. Let me hear you call my name. Let me feel you near. Let me hold my hand in yours, for then I'll have no fear. Let me walk along the path that leads me to your light. Let me know when I am there to see the dark turn bright. Let your healing power come and enter into me. Let me use that power and love to help our world be free. Let me give to you my thanks for all that you have done to help us find love and light, and feel thy will be done. Isn't that beautiful?
That is immense.
I mean, that was channeled through somebody else, but gifted to me years ago. But I felt there was a lot in there with the no fear.
Yeah.
And helping the world be free. And also, obviously, thy will be done. And I think
because people are, it's absolutely amazing. That is fantastic. Thank you very much for sharing that. But there isn't, the problem is the people that are into fear are locked into themselves, aren't they?
Well, that's right. So it's a case of looking outside and the fact that there is more to this world than the physical, and for what we can see, as you say, like UFOs and cosmic beings and a lot of other things that are going on that we can't even see. No. And a lot of people don't even think about on a daily basis. So I felt that was quite...
I think that's very prevalent. We got a few comments here. First of all, Jason McCusbro said, we have had buffing problems here too. He's in Hampshire. Where is Buffy the Gremlin Slayer when you need her?
Absolutely.
Matthew John says, as we all know, most disease happens from within. It starts in the mind. After reading and listening to Dr. Buttai, you can't catch a virus. Your body produces lots of different viruses. We have hundreds of them. And he says it's how the body flushes them out of your system. For me, this coronavirus is of the mind. Well, it is to a degree by what they do to you. In fear, basically. Sharon says to McCusbro that I've used the settings. Where are we? I lost it. No, it's gone. Sorry. Matthew Johnson, lovely Linda with a kiss. And Debbie Johnson says, lovely poem and very hopeful.
And so I've got another one I'd like to share.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And this was the one that was channeled in June 2016. And it's towards the end where it really begins to resonate, but it's actually talking about where we are now. I mean, obviously, when it was channeled and put in my book of writings all those years ago, it didn't really mean anything. It didn't resonate, but now it does. So I'd like to just read that, if I may.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
This one's a little bit longer than that last one.
That's all right.
The sunset this eventide will shine brightly on the dim-lit shores to guide and lead those mishappenings upon the earth plane. For now, all of those who sit up and listen finally get a chance to vocalise the mechanics of the world today. From preacher not stood on a street corner, but to come by and say to each and every one of us, leave not the self-inflicted to rot in hell. Take each one by the hand and bring them forth to be safe with all the rest, to sit easy and at peace, in the full knowledge that God's guiding hand will be with them to bring about the peace of mind they so desperately seek. And each vagrant on every park bench will gather together to be heard and bring about change, like change has never been heard. For now is the time for change to begin. Never forgotten what's gone before, but forward we must go and stand before the very same Lord Jesus Christ to forgo our sins of how mankind has brought about the demise of this earth. Not any particular nation, but all nations as one, to meet and greet like never before, to stand together as one mind, one voice, to move away the dark forces who have for too long taken charge of this world and brought about its downfall, to the magnitude of great imperativeness, the loss, the sadness, deepest regrets. We've seen it all, and now it must stop, to take time and ponder what ifs will only be yonder. Before us today stands that chance to change.
Wow.
See,
goose pimples the end of that.
When I wrote that, I didn't write it. When I penned that to paper back in 2016 and it was completely channeled, it took me about 30 seconds for me to write that. And it didn't really, as I say, it didn't resonate. It was like, well, I don't know what they want about. I'll just write.
You just wrote it. Yeah.
I just write what I'm channeling. But when I read that now, I'm like, they're always ahead of us, always. And I've got my book of writings, and there's many, many, many like that in here.
They're waiting to come out at the right time because they have meaning, because the seeing ability, what they're showing you before it happens.
Absolutely. As I say, they are always, the universe, the spirits, whoever you believe in, the non-physical is always ahead of us, always.
Yeah.
And that is what will keep people going, that faith, just knowing, whatever their faith is. There's no, I don't preach that you have to have a particular faith. It's all within yourself.
Yeah, it's what you feel comfortable with, and then whatever it is that you carry.
Absolutely. And standing in your own truth.
Yeah.
What you know to be the truth.
Yeah.
And that is what will keep people sane. And that is also what will get people through this.
Yes.
And stop the fear.
Yes. Because I do feel things are starting to wane a little bit. I think as Faye came on, she said, well, I think I'm fed up with it. I think everyone is.
I think people are, to be honest with you. You know, there's a lot more, there appears to be a lot more vehicles on the road now. Yeah. On social media, I'm seeing about road accidents, which if there's nobody on the road, how do you have road accidents?
Yeah.
But also the fact that people are beginning to really wake up to the fact that what is going on, what is actually going on.
Yeah, because it's. I said in the beginning, we're in an illusion, and we are. It's a self-created illusion.
And I think when it was between buses, I heard you saying about hospitals which have nobody in them, and that isn't only the hospitals that they've just made.
No,
this is the actual original hospitals where you've got the accident and emergency staff standing around doing nothing.
Yeah,
they were saying that cancer referrals are down 200,000 on this time last year. So in a way, people are now in fear of going to the doctor.
They are. They're fear going to the doctors. They're fear going to hospital.
And of course, it's created something that the greater power, the dark forces, didn't even think about, was the fact that, well, hang on a minute, if we lock everybody down and we don't let anybody go out and go anywhere, nobody's going to want to go anywhere, and therefore other illnesses may or may not develop. So, of course, they're noticing, what they're really noticing, of course, is a massive knock-on effect in their pockets, because they're not able to prescribe, they're not using the medication, so they've got stock rooms full of medications that are not being used. And this is going to really hit them hard in the pocket.
Yeah.
Because part of me believes, yes, there is the fear that causes the immune system to become weaker. But also, you go in that hospital, you take their treatments, but you don't know what's in this stuff.
No, I know.
And then you've got all the side effects, so they give you more drugs to then change, to then work on the side effects.
Yeah, and you take a pill to take a pill to take a pill to take a pill.
Exactly. So it doesn't mean there's less sick people out there. Sorry, it doesn't mean that there's less illness out there, but what it will mean is there will be less illness because people are not being fed the drugs that cause more illness.
And there's going to be a bow wave, and that's not just with the backlog of people that are waiting for all manner of things, cancer treatments to hip replacements to God knows what else. But there's going to be an enormous amount of people with psychological damage.
Absolutely.
And abuse.
Utterly.
There will be a lot of cases of domestic abuse, all manner of different things, bullying, intimidation, all manner of different things.
Even to the fact I'm getting angry because of somebody blaming other people for the fact that she's now unwell and she's been going to the shops every day. Yeah. And, that is something that's inside you, building up. And I would say I'm quite a rational rational person.
Yeah.
And yet, just something like that really riled me to think that she's endangering so many other people by being selfish.
Yeah.
And that is just something tiny that can be looked at as a representation.
But that tiny thing, if that person has something like that, or I would say if that person has flu, which is basically what that person will have, how we deal with that flu depends on ourselves in what we eat, how we are, and you know, if we do exercise well, or if our immune system is strong. I just want to say, Matthew John says, my faith is within me, my truth is my light, and I shine brightly. Sharon Actual totally agrees with that. And we wait for the right time, need to remain patient. Matthew John says, hospitals stand for house of sick people in trauma and labour.
That is true, actually.
Yeah.
That is very, very true.
Yeah.
And the trouble is with our NHS is they encourage that. They don't try and discourage that.
No, they don't. And us staying at home saves lives. But actually what they're really doing is they're keeping at home because for a very long time, if we all went there, they would fall over. And that would show that actually this good government and the successive governments before have failed beyond belief to actually look after people and actually pump money into something that is technically an absolute stronghold of Britishness.
Completely. And the other thing that caught my attention today as well was, I don't know whether you've noticed it where you live, but it is all over social media, that this Thursday night clapping business.
Yeah.
We're all very, very grateful for all the key workers that have kept working. Of course we are. On a daily basis we are. Personally, I don't feel we need a time and a date to stand outside and give appreciation, because we send that out, us spiritual beings send that out every time, every day, every single moment, every single day, and that goes where it's needed. However, again, it's been highlighted on social media that it's getting more and more dangerous because there's more injuries due to the objects that people are using to make a noise. And they were saying it's not about making a noise, it's about giving appreciation, which it is. But I'm also seeing VE Day coming up soon, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think it's the end of this week. And there's a lot of tours and a lot of parades being organised.
Yeah.
And in my head, you know, I'm a little simpleton sat here on my own thinking, well, I'm self-isolating, which I've been doing for years anyway, so that doesn't worry me. However, nothing's changed. Nothing's been lifted. Why are people organising VE Day events, celebrations? Surely that's just going to encourage people to disrespect the social distancing rulings.
It always amazes me that when they interview people of the cabinet, these are government ministers, 9 times out of 10 they're standing outside.
I know. And the lectern or the lecterns that they use, that 3, you know, get 3 in a row. And I've stopped watching it now because, again, I get cross. But why don't they do it by video link?
Well, yes, precisely.
Why are they? It just doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't
make sense.
Matthew John says, if I go outside, I'm not putting anyone in danger, as from my point of view, you can't catch a virus.
And I understand Matthew, the work he does, and I understand that fully. And he's a single person on his own doing his work.
Yeah. He's not
in contact with other people doing his work.
Yeah. Sharon Actual totally agrees with you. That what you were talking about just a minute ago, she says it becomes a ritual. And Matthew John says, I'd like to know why the government cares so much all of a sudden. Lol. they couldn't give a shit and haven't for a long time. The government is a criminal organisation that has been proven in case law.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I mean, some people say it's a bit over the top, but I said Mr. Boris and his cabinet should be in The Hague for crimes against humanity, I feel.
Well,
And
I think did I read there's a businessman taking?
yes, I believe there is. I didn't mention it tonight.
Taking Boris personally to court or the government?
I think he's taking Boris and the government both
and
to
the
court.
Government.
Yeah.
See, that's really interesting. See what will come of that.
And staying with Boris for a minute,
Good
because
on that man.
I'd like to have your thoughts on this, because it's not documented. Boris, I feel, obviously, yes, he had a cold or something or whatever. And some of you say you're being very flippant, but a lot of people don't believe he had anything wrong with him, because he ran away basically because he likes to be popular. He don't like conflict.
Well, I did read that a couple of people had to leave the NHS because they weren't prepared to sign the Secrets Act or whatever it was they were asked to sign.
Yeah.
Because they knew that what was going on wasn't what was going on.
Yeah.
And they were asked to leave their position. They were asked to stand down.
Yeah.
And that I felt was outrageous.
Yeah, completely. And that person was in intensive care for 4 days or whatever, apparently. Yeah. And he's going on there saying he had loads of liquid pumped into him. It was terrible, life and death and everything. I'm sure I'm not trivializing this by any stretch of imagination, but I'm a spiritual person. I pick up on things like yourself, you know. And it could be the truth. However, we then get Kate Garraway's husband. Absolutely. Still in intensive care. Why? Yeah. Why is he not being weeks? He's been there weeks on the edge.
Doesn't make sense.
No. And they can say, well, people have different ways of getting over things, but you know, I mean, I don't understand how he can go in there and then come out and then he goes to Checkers for 2 weeks. Which, by the way, this is a question I want to put by you, because it's not being asked by anybody out there. Everyone's just sort of nodding head and agreeing with what they're doing, basically, because I find it astounding that at the end of February, that Boris Johnson, who went into office and all sorts, was saying, I'm going to get engaged to Carrie. And by the way, she's pregnant and we're going to have a child in the early summer. No one has picked this up. And the fact is, on the 28th or the 29th of April, she has a baby.
Clint, I couldn't agree with you more.
I'm just astounded. No one picked it up.
Nobody's talked about how she was rushed to hospital, how the baby has arrived so early.
Yeah.
And I'm astonished.
I can't believe it, because in all pictures a month ago, she doesn't even look pregnant. I know people can be pregnant and not look pregnant. But I just find it absolutely dumb. I'm dumbstruck with it.
But she had coronavirus as well, apparently. It was reported that she did have.
Yeah.
And as soon as Boris came out, she joined him at Checkers.
I know.
Or she may have already been there. I'm not sure. But anyway, they were together and she was pregnant.
Yeah.
It doesn't compute in my head. See, none of that makes sense to me.
No, it doesn't me. It's complete nonsense. Matthew John says they all need stringing up. The lies and deceptions on a scale which is unfathomable. You're right. Sharon Actual says, I personally feel the NHS is being held on thrones, so everyone loves them. So when the vaccine comes along, they all feel obligated to have it.
Yeah, that's true enough.
Matthew John says, one thing I would like to get across is the fact that we have a system that most know nothing about. There's lawful and there's legal. And he says it's a Stockholm syndrome. And Sharon Actual says, I wonder if Boris Johnson will allow all the jabs for his newborn.
Well, yes, we'd like to see him be first in the queue, wouldn't we? But then how would we know that what's in that needle is genuine? Well,
I can tell you now, I'm not having any jabs put into me. I can tell you, I'm none of their nanotechnology, synthetics, and all the rest of it. They're going to pump into me. It ain't going to happen.
Completely agree. And I didn't get a chance to message you just before I came online as well. I think it must have been in Australia. There was a gathering, and a policeman said to a young man, "You have no rights." And there was a cameraman there, and she turned her head away, and she was talking to her colleague, and then she said she'd come back and deal with the young man. But and he was questioning her. He was saying, "What do you mean I've got no rights? Of course I've got rights. I'm a human being. I've got rights."
Yeah.
and she didn't know how to respond to him. Because she said it, obviously, clearly it was a mistake that she said it.
Yeah.
But she said it in I think, in haste, as it were, and then didn't know how to retract from it. But that just made me chuckle, really, because I just thought that's the madness that's going on.
Well, that is, but there's slip of tongues.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there was a woman interviewed on BBC TV, a minister or something in the health service, who actually said that we haven't actually infected enough people yet.
Oh, yes, I heard that. I thought, well, I'm glad I'm self-isolating.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I haven't been in a doctor's surgery for years.
Yeah.
And that's I've always banged on about that. Why do they not disinfect GP surgeries every single night without fail, or every single morning? They don't do it. So when you go in there and you're sat down or you're open, you don't know who. You don't know
who's touched anything or whatever. No.
So that's something that's been very close to my heart for a long time, is that I just don't feel our government health ministers have been looking after our best interest.
They're all paid up people with Bill Gates. That's why they've got loads of money from Mr. Bill Gates. And
of course, we're going to see the madness worse than this week, because we've got the full moon on Thursday.
Absolutely. And Thursday, we got the full moon with Boris telling us what's going to happen next.
Oh, yes. Oh, that would be that everybody can have their VE Day celebrations on Friday. Because it's already been organised, so clearly it's allowed.
Matthew John says lawful is for woe men of the land. Legal is for dead souls lost at sea.
Well, that's true.
And he says because you can't catch a virus.
No. So
it basically means I'm not an expert in biology or human bodies, but we have an immune system inside ourselves, and it can get run down and whatever. So if we have, and my body's fighting disease all the time, viruses and all manner of different things, as well as if we physically hurt ourselves as well. So, you know, sometimes we can get very low and we can pick something up. And if our body's already fighting cardiac disease or all manner of other things, then we're on a losing wicket to begin, aren't we?
We are. And also the fact that they can't make up their mind whether it's airborne or touch transmitted. And also they can't make up their mind whether to do non-resuscitation or do resuscitation. On my medical records, it says do not resuscitate, because I have a very strong belief within my own self that my exit date is my exit date.
Yeah.
And what will be, will be. And that's, I stand in my own truth when I say that. That isn't disrespecting anybody.
No. Well, everyone has their own. I can understand that to a degree, because the thing is, I was talking about it a couple of weeks ago, the nanny state that we potentially could be walking into here, where don't go outside, you might get run over. When in actual fact, the law of averages is the fact that you won't get run over, but something might happen to you if you're not aware of it. But when that happens, then that's a series of events that happen that's already written in your soul scriptures when you're born.
Absolutely. It completely well is. And I was trying to work out the figures earlier, because I think, is it 28,000 we're up to now? On
we are, yeah.
Which, so I was trying to work out in my head, and it works out about 0.004%. 0.004%. So if I gave you £1 and then said, right, I'm going to take half a pence back, the younger generation won't know what a half a pence is, but half a pence
half a penny, yeah.
You would probably say, yeah, that's all right, you can have that half a p, that's fine.
Yeah.
But if I said to you, no, that's okay, I'm not going to take the half a p back, but you've got to stay in your house until I say you can come out, you'd just give me the half a p, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you?
Well, of course you would. And obviously the question marks about, I know we'll run out of time, but the question marks is what is going on while we are in lockdown? Because it isn't what people think it is, I can tell you.
No, I completely agree. And thank you for your time. Thank you for inviting me onto the show. Thank you for allowing me to share the reading.
No, that's all right. That was really interesting. I just want to tell you, Sharon Natural's come back and says, no good doing what ifs. Live life in the now and the what ifs do not exist.
Absolutely.
Very true. Very
That's
true.
So true. Be in the now. Be in the now.
Yeah.
Definitely. Absolutely. Well, thank you very much.
Well, anyone wants to get hold of it, we haven't even talked about. We never get around to, we haven't got around to talking about what you do. I mean,
well, I think you read out at the beginning.
Yeah.
The whole array of things.
If anyone wants to get hold of you to have a chat or reading or whatever.
Spiritualmedium.life.
Yeah.
That's LIFE. Spiritualmedium.life. That is my Facebook page.
Brilliant.
And on there is my phone contact details and my email address. And it's not only about giving readings, it is about
guidance,
people,
all manner of different things.
It's the whole spiritual everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
so
I agree.
If people need help with something, especially now, if they just need a chat, then please have a chat.
Yeah.
Message me on Facebook. And I helped a lady today with a poor animal that was suffering. So, all those sorts of things people need help with, and
Absolutely.
I'm there to help.
Sharon Actual says, thanks, Linda, with a kiss. And Matthew John says, for this round to truly change, it would take those realize to learn their rights and the law, reclaim their souls and sovereignty, and start communities and unite.
That's very true.
It is.
Very true.
Yeah.
And as the reading that was channeled through me said, that those who are willing to sit up and listen.
Yeah.
For those who are now willing to sit up and listen, because, you've got to be willing.
Yeah.
If you're not willing, then you'll still stay in the past. So,
yeah.
Anyway, thank you.
I'll just say this because Jason McCusborough's put a comment on here. There is also the point, if we hadn't have shut down and social distance, then just maybe the death toll could be several times higher.
Well, it could be, but it still wouldn't be as high.
It's all hypothetical, isn't it? They haven't in Sweden and various other countries. They haven't done a lot of things we've done, but a lot of countries haven't because we haven't followed the real guidelines. So,
but I'm just going by the numbers about the deaths, all the other deaths that are still going on around us that we don't hear anything about.
No.
Strange how that gets swept under the carpet.
All right.
Anyway, enjoy the rest of your show.
You've been amazing. Thank you very much. We'll get you on again in the not too distant future. It's fantastic to speak to you. Thank you very much. And it's been great talking to you.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. Bye. Linda Basset there. What an amazing lady she is. In relation to her understanding of what's going on in our reality, as well as the beliefs and amazing poetry and everything she had as well was absolutely phenomenal. And that was poetry from where are we now? 20. That was 4-5 years ago. Everyone's entitled to opinion of every sort, and obviously, I have opinions as everyone else has, and everyone's opinions read out. So if you don't agree or whatever, then please, I'll read it out. It's not a case I won't read it out because everyone's opinions is valid. Shan Actual says, I agree by saying that if everyone had still gone into the hospitals, it would have been worse. Matthew John said, I've never met anyone who had it. And Shan Actual says, avoid the hospitals like your life depends on it, because it does. We're going to get hold of, hopefully, Melanie Kelloway. We're going to give her a ring and see if we can get her on the phone, if she'll answer. Mags Clooney says, great to hear, Linda. Great show. Thanks, Mags. Mags is going to be on the show, not distant future, but she doesn't know that yet. She's been on before. Be great to have her. It's great to have back on. She's building with a partner a fantastic retreat place on the outskirts of Glastonbury. It'd be interesting to catch up with her and see how things are going with that. We're just trying to ring Melanie, and we have got just a ringing going on. Well, maybe should call in a minute. We are a little bit over time, but it doesn't matter. I mean, the show is very much like that. If she hasn't come through in the next sort of next 10 minutes or whatever, then we'll move on with the next guest. But thank you for your comments tonight. Meg says, great dear Linda, great show, thank you very much. Jason says, nor me, Matthew. That's in regards to I've not met anyone who has it. Counsellor says he hasn't either, maybe because we are staying in for the most part. Lol, but I know what you mean. And he said, Matthew says, yes, Jason, it's hard to believe anything the mainstream or government says, as everything we've been taught is a lie. And we're to a tendency, I tend to agree with that. It is a lie, and that's my opinion. That's only my opinion. That's not anyone else's, just mine. And when we're going to try, when we come up against situations where we have a difficulty that we're in at the moment, we have to look at it, we have to dissect it, and we have to see what's underneath it. And the fact is that our government, in my eyes, have been, and with lots of other people, very contemptual, in the way that they've treated us. They care for us, but at the same time, they haven't even hit 100,000 tests. And at the same time, we're still short of PPE. Simplistic things we need in our reality to help people. And, there's all these people in doctors and nurses that haven't got any PPE or whatever. And then there's 4,000 beds, hospitals that's been put together with stacks of PPE with nobody in them. So, surely it would be sensible to move a lot of that to places where it's needed. I mean, I know it's logistically terrible, but looking down to the grassroots of just PPE itself, it's an absolute mess. And testing, absolute mess. They open all these places, but I mean, Easter weekend, they said that we had the capacity, but we didn't have the influx. A lot of people didn't come. Why didn't they come? Why didn't they say, you have to go and do this? Why is it down to people who have to actually go and do it? Why aren't they told they must go and do it? Do you know what I mean? And now we have, obviously, the military doing mobile tests, and apparently going to get them come through the door as well. So, and Matthew John says, and mine Clint lol as well. Unfortunately, I don't know where Melanie is. I hope she's okay. We can't graze her on the phone. And I feel that we will move on to our next guest. Now, our next guest is a man of mystery. I never ever know who's going to ring this show, but somebody will be ringing this show anytime now, and I never ever have a clue who it is. It could be one of a few people that's contacted this show before. It could be somebody completely new and different. Matthew John says, no one is testing me ever. I completely agree with you, because there is known fact that people have been tested. Oh, wow. So what are they doing when they're testing you? So, the problem where I sit with this, and it is down to personal preference. I mean, obviously, if you believed these people in what they're doing, then you'd have it done. If you don't believe in those people, you don't do it, do you? You're not going to buy a house from somebody you don't believe in because they're actually trying to sell you a shack for 100 grand, where actually it's worth 2 grand. Do you know what I mean? You don't say, yeah, I'll buy that 100 grand, and it's only worth 2 grand, but I'll buy it anyway, 100 grand. We have rational thinking, thought, and understanding inside ourselves. And we also have a mystery guest, and I have no idea who this mystery guest is. But we will see who it is. Who is the mystery guest on the Inview this week?
It's Captain Haddock here.
Oh, it's Captain Haddock. I had a feeling it might be you. How are you, Captain Haddock? Had it. What?
No, not lately. I had it for a while.
It's Captain Haddock, yes. And you're out on the oceans, aren't you, Captain Haddock? Speaking to us.
Yeah, we had strange occurrence about a couple of hours ago.
Did you? What happened?
Yeah. Well, I was woken by day 1,
If you remember, we got Dave 1 and
Oh,
Dave
Dave
2.
1 and 2. They are ghosts from a Mary Celeste type ship.
Yeah, they're spirits, they be. And I spoke to my Dave 1. He said, come up to the top. So I goes up the top, and there's this, like, whirlpool was heading for, like vortex in the middle of the sea, like.
Really?
And, you know, trying to steer away, but we got caught up in that. And a couple of minutes later, going round and round and down, we just landed with a thump, and it was about 100 yards offshore from this lovely beach.
Wow.
Yeah, it was quite strange, it were, because we got out, and I lowered this little boat, and we rowed to the shore.
Did Dave and Dave 1 go, did they?
Yeah, Dave 1 came, Dave 2...
Can they actually hold oars as their ghosts, or does it go, can't they hold it?
I don't know, but he didn't hold it. He just appeared on the shore, like, in front of me, and because he's a ghost, isn't he?
Yeah. Well, he can just travel across the water, can't he?
Well, that's it, like, and he was standing there waiting for me, and I rowed ashore, and it was a strange thing. It really is strange. It's almost because, you see these fish, and they're about, foot and a half long. There's half a dozen of them.
Really, in the whirlpool?
No, we're walking up the beach.
The fish were walking up the beach?
Yeah, they come out the sea.
Oh my God!
They started walking a little.
Did they have feet?
Well, how else are they going to walk?
Well, they might have fins, might they?
Oh, well, as soon as they hit the sand, they started walking. They got sprouted little legs, and they walked up. And
wow! You might have seen the missing link, because there is some people who say that we were from fish.
Well, you never know. You and I both are missing some of that. I know
that. And did they have gills and everything else?
Yeah, they had gills, but they didn't. This is what I'm trying to tell you. You get up halfway up the beach, and their legs grew longer, and they get to the top of the beach, that sort of thing, and they got legs, and they turned into like lizards, and they ran into the underbrush. It's all, if I didn't know any better, I would have thought we was in like some kind of bubble, whatever, and time is accelerated where we are.
So
several million years.
Yeah, evolution state you watched in front of your eyes.
Yeah, absolutely. It's weird.
That is unbelievable. So you watch fish come out of the sea, walk up the beach, and then turn into like reptilian type objects.
Yeah, they went into the underbrush, they ain't got.
You don't want to go there. That's dangerous. That is.
They're a little dangerous. Yeah.
Debbie Johnson asked a question here in the comments. How do you tell the difference between Dave 1 and Dave 2? That's quite an interesting question.
That's easy. That ain't a problem at all because basically they were, when I first saw them, I saw them come to spirit light,
Yeah.
And so I chucked an old pair of trousers on each of them and a T-shirt, on each of them.
Okay.
Right? No, I can see them, but I can't see their heads, can't see their arms. I just see T-shirt and trousers.
So you just see trousers and the T-shirt moving around. You don't see their faces.
Yeah, I've got a cap on each of them, so I can see the cap. But on the T-shirt, on the front and the back, I put the mark 1 down there with
right.
And 2 on the other one. See, so I know.
That's like football numbers, isn't it?
Well, yeah, basically.
Well, that must be spooky to watch. These trousers and tops and cat walking about with nobody in it.
Well, it was, but you try and get used to it after a while. You've been at sea for some time, over the years. You see quite a few weird things.
Well, I bet you do, yeah. Have you found out where you are yet or not?
No, I haven't. I haven't got a clue where I am. I was just going up on this beach and just started walking along it, and to see these fish, and it was quite a thing to behold to see these fish. You know, you like evolution. You know.
Well, that's quite remarkable. You watch something that's taken thousands of years, apparently.
Oh, take the millions of years.
Millions of years, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know what's the wait, and it's up in the woods or a little bit further on, and maybe bloody settlements or something.
Sharon Attrell said that she was going to say that they must have T-shirts on with 1 and 2 on it.
Ah, there you go. See.
But these are very old ghosts, aren't they?
Oh, they are. They go back I think 16th century, I think. 1700s.
Yeah, and but you don't know what year you're in, do you?
I ain't got a clue what year we're in here. I mean, because it's totally different. It's like, you know, I don't know.
And obviously, when you see these fish, you thought, well, that's great. We can get some fish because you can't caught any fish, have you?
That's right. You know, I thought, well, we haven't caught none, and we're getting a little bit peckish. You know, supplies are getting low. Not with those two. They don't eat. You know, but I do. So I thought, I see 1 or 2 of these. I thought, oh, they just jumped out to sea. But no, they didn't. They just walked out, little buggers.
Did you chase after them?
No, I don't know, because caution took the better part of me, and I thought, oh, hang on a minute, what's going on here?
And there's no fish in the sea where you are?
No, not where I was. I don't know about now. Obviously, the fish is in the sea now, where I am.
Have you had enough provisions to live on?
You what?
Have you had enough provisions to live on?
Well, yeah, you know, you've got a little rumble in the tummy, like, you know, so you have to explore a little bit further on into the woods, whatever, you know, going off the beach.
Well, you might come across some bananas or oranges.
Yeah, you never know. They might have evolved into something totally different.
They could have gone from reptiles into men.
They could have done.
They might be tribal. They might come after you.
I mean, you know, if you see like 2 or 3 million years appearing in front of you, just think what it's going to be like in 24 hours. I
know. Sharon Attrell said, so they walked out on their fingers, hence where we get the fish fingers.
That's very good, that is.
That is very good, isn't it?
Yeah, not bad at all.
I mean, obviously, there isn't a fish called fish finger, is there? It's actually fish that's made up into long oblong things, isn't it?
No, if you was American, you call them fish sticks.
Fish sticks?
Yeah, or some point, you know, you can call them fish sticks.
All right.
Fish sticks.
So, I mean, you've been out there a long time now, haven't you? We spoke to you a couple of weeks ago.
I've been out here about a month. Oh, yeah, you know, out on the old little trawler.
And the weirdest thing is, you ain't got a phone. You're talking to me through your radio type object on the vessel, aren't you?
Well, yeah, I've got a little portable one, and I'm taking it. I don't know how it's getting through. I really don't.
So what does the beach look like? Is it just sandy? Is it?
What's it? What beach? Yeah, it's just a sandy beach. You probably got I don't know. As far as I can see, either direction, it does go round. You know, so it's obviously an island.
Is there trees and things like that?
Any what?
Is there any trees or anything like that?
Well, yeah, I'll just say these fish type things, they got out and they ran out.
Oh yeah, they went into the bush. Yeah. In the smoke, so you ain't seen any people that live there.
Well, not yet. Maybe in about half an hour I might see some smoke, but it probably evolved into that, you know.
Well, fire. They could evolve into fire, couldn't they?
Well, they could evolve into cavemen by the time.
Well, they could, and by the time you get there, they might have gone from caveman into Donald Trump.
Yeah, I mean, you never know. It could be Trump Island, couldn't it?
It could be Trump Island, couldn't it? You're obviously in a very lost paradise, aren't you?
Well, I don't know where it's paradise yet. I'll have to let you know about that.
Is it hot where you are? Is it warm?
Well, it's comfortable, yeah. I mean, it's not burning.
Are you in your shorts and that, are you?
You what, sorry?
Are you wearing your shorts, are you?
Yeah, well, sort of. I had a cut of jeans, like, you know, from just above the knees, like, with a pair of scissors, cut them, like, you know. and that's about it. And an old T-shirt.
Wow. Wow.
So, it ain't cold, no, but you know, if you're going to stay here, I'm going to have to go back to the boat, see, and get up a little bit more supplies and whatever. But I did bring a couple of harpoon guns with me.
Harpoon guns? Well, they're always handy, aren't they, to defend yourself?
Well, yeah, but I got a couple of crossbows and all that as well.
Blimey. I mean, I suppose at last resort, you can crossbow to get a fish, can't you?
Well, yeah, but I mean, I'm glad I brought them because you don't know what's going on.
Are you scared? Are you in fear?
No, I'm not. Strangely enough, I'm not in fear at all. You know, it just everything happened so quickly, and I'm only surmising this is what's happening here, like evolution. We must be in some kind of bubble, and evolution is to jump millions of years and continuing to. Now, whether that stops in the next.
That's really interesting, yeah.
I don't know how far it actually goes when I see.
Because
when I experience the whole human race, you know.
In this bubble, you're not in Mega Giffy, are you? Yeah.
No, I ain't Mega Giffy. God, I wish I was.
And you're not in the floating duck pub or whatever it is you're drinking.
No, I really do with a pasty now.
Yeah, well.
Not that against it, Chip.
But this bubble, at least you're away from like coronavirus and things like that, aren't you? Coronavirus.
Well, I know him.
No. Well, you don't want to know him. He's apparently not a very nice person.
I don't wish to know him there. No, I don't know no one like that.
So, Ed, you haven't spoke to your wife for ages, have you?
No, I haven't. She must be. I don't know what's going on with her because obviously I can't contact her. But it's strange. I can't contact her, but I can contact you.
Well, that's weird, isn't it? You can talk to me through this time warp device, whatever it is you've got on your boat. And you can't talk to her because I bet she's worrying as she is, I bet, isn't she?
Well, she probably is. I don't know, but you see, the thing is, if I'm in this kind of time bubble here, and I'm experiencing evolution happening so quickly in front of me, now does that mean that time, as far as I'm concerned, is stopped? For her back home, like, or near enough, like. So yeah. I'm out here for several months, and I could be out here for a year or more.
Well, you could be, but when I get
back, only 10 minutes. Like,
I know, that's exactly what I was going to say. It could be the fact that you're weeks and weeks there, and it could be 10 minutes where you were.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, you have to fathom it out. But you think, I'm just a simple Cornish fisherman,
Yeah.
Well, yes.
Sharon Attrell says, reminds me of the dolphins, etc., who beach themselves. The good-hearted humans pick them up and throw them back. The dolphins complain, saying, stop throwing us back in the sea. We are trying to evolve.
Yeah. Yeah, it could be. You never know.
When you see these fish, morph into have legs, did they actually grow legs out their bottom?
No, normally it's out their side, not out their ass.
No, well, yeah. But did it come from their fins?
Well, they just see the fins disappear and the legs just suddenly appear.
Wow.
As soon as they swam until they couldn't swim any further, like the water is too shallow, then a split second later, they started up and started walking. And
did they grow arms?
No, not yet. They just got 4 legs.
And their heads changed, obviously, like an alligator or something, or maybe a Tyrannosaurus Rex fish.
No, ain't nothing like that yet. Not as far as I can see. I don't know what's going on in the other side of the brush there, in the woods.
Well, you've got to be very careful walking in there because you could be eaten.
I know I could be having anything there. That's why I said they eat one out there. Have a look, see?
And he ain't come back yet, but they can't eat him because he's invisible anyway.
exactly that.
They could chew his clothes, though, couldn't they?
He's a great scout, he is, isn't he? He can't be eaten. He can't have no harm done to him. He's already dead.
Yeah, that's true, actually, yeah. I mean,
I'm expecting back for the next half hour. So,
yes.
No. Like I said, go out there and spend about an hour or so, just have a look around and let me know what's going on.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure they come back. So you're not in the bush yet.
No. I'm just standing in the middle of the beach here. I'm just watching these bloody fish.
And what colour is the water?
Pardon?
What colour's the water?
Well, it's normal sea colour,
And it's the sky blue, is it?
No, the sky ain't blue. It's kind of grey.
Ah, that's strange. It sounds like you're in England.
Yeah. But, it's sort of grey, but you would expect that sort of thing. If it's at home, you would expect it to be pissing down with rain, but it ain't.
Yeah.
And the strange thing is, at home, if you got a grey sky like that, it's darkish, isn't it?
Well, normally, yeah.
But it ain't. It's bright light here.
Well, that's very weird, isn't it?
It is.
You got to watch out for the UVs, haven't you?
I don't know. But nothing's moving up there.
You can't see a sun or anything.
No, I can't see sun, no moon, no nothing. Of course, now think of it. You've got no wind here either.
Well, that's strange, isn't it? It's a good job you ain't got a sailboat.
But as a kid, I used to read sci-fi books and things like that. I've seen a few films and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering whether I'm actually in the earth or something. I'm just looking up and it's just like a ceiling or something up there.
Well, that's interesting, yeah. You could be inside the earth. Your boat could have gone down some sort of plug hole in the sea.
It could have done, yeah. I don't know. But it's all very strange, I know that.
Sharon Actual says good night. She's got to go and says thanks to myself and all the guests. That's really kind. Thanks, Sharon. Well, this must be groundbreaking stuff. I mean, am I the only human being you've spoken to since?
Well, you're the only person. Yeah, I don't know about only human being. I get that one, didn't I?
Yeah, but I mean, Dave 1 and Dave 2. I mean, they're not great conversationalists, are they?
No, they won't speak to you. Only I can hear them because it's almost like they've been assigned to me,
Well, that's really strange, isn't it?
It is. And I'm in this strange land, and I don't know where it is, where it's underground, and in the earth or different.
You don't even know how to get back to Mega Giffy, do you?
No, and I've always wanted to venture. I've always dreamt about being on the high seas and all the swashbuckling things everybody reads about.
Yeah.
But, the thing is, you lose that, don't you? You get caught up in the mainstream of life and whatever.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, what you wish for has come true, and whoa.
Well, you might come across MH370, that plane that went missing. You could be in a Bermuda Triangle type place.
I could be anywhere, mate. I don't know where I am, but I won't know where I am until day one comes back. He won't be back for a little while yet, so I'll have to let you know.
So when he talks to you, does he talk to you in your mind?
Yeah.
Wow. That must get really confusing if they're both talking to you at once.
Well, I tell one of them to shut up. I hear them as plain as day. I say, "Oi, Dave 1, come on, Dave 2 speaking." I can't,
Wow. And they don't mind being called Dave 1 and 2.
Well, yeah, they don't mind. Well, they haven't said, but I will give them proper names, because I don't want to ask them their real names because if I did that, they may be what I don't know, they might go towards the light or something like that. You know, I'm being a little bit selfish.
Oh, right.
now,
Yeah, that's very true, actually. Yeah, that's very true.
You know, they find out who they are, and that. You know, if I ask them, and they think deep enough about what happened to them and that sort of thing, they might realise who they are, and then they disappear.
Wow.
I don't want that. You know, some people will say that's cruel, like, you know, but
yeah. Well, I would think it'd go against the conventions of ghosts, wouldn't it?
Well, yeah. I mean, also, I don't know what's going on, how that feels, whether I'll be condemned later or something. But
what do you think when you'll come back? You'll be put in a loony bin.
Well, yeah. I mean, I've been in worse places.
Well, I mean, being out on sea can drive you a bit mad at times, I expect.
Well, that's right. I mean, I think Bridgewater, so that is close enough to loony bin, isn't it?
Well, yeah. That's a long way from Mega Giffy.
Yeah, it's a long way from Mega Giffy.
I can't even say the place properly, can I?
No, you can't, can you?
No. Well, I'm trying. It's a very difficult word.
Yeah, I'm quite looking forward to this adventure, really.
Yeah, and obviously you might have search parties out looking for you.
Yeah, who's going to search for me, huh?
Well, I don't know. I'm sure people are worrying where you are.
Yeah, but like I said, I don't know what the time difference is.
Well, that's true. It could only be minutes there, couldn't it?
That's right. You know, I'm watching millions of years advance in front of me, and you know, I could get back. I could have left before even. You
never realised your boat had become a time machine, did you?
No, I didn't. You know, it's kind of like a time machine, because it itself didn't do it. I went through some of that did it.
Yeah, and that you can talk to me on a telephone from your radio you've got on your boat or mobile radio you're carrying.
That's right. That's the strangest thing. I mean, it might have been because I know that little electrical storm we had, you know, a few weeks ago. Might have done something. I don't know. You know, whether I've been prepped for this, you know, in some kind of way.
Oh, yeah, it could be, yeah. I'll tell you what, the scientific world would probably sit on the edge of your seat because this is a monumental discovery. I mean, you might meet other people that are stuck out there like that.
Well, I might do. You know, you never know. I mean, I find it hard to believe that, you know, me and my vessel and we're the only ones to get sucked down, you know, the whirlpool down to this, wherever we are and whatever time we are.
Yeah.
But who knows? But it's better be prepared, so I am a bit prepared. So, you know, I've known a bit of hardship before, and I know how to handle myself. So I'm quite confident, whatever happens, whatever comes in my way.
You might not ever come back.
So I don't know. I might even stay here.
Well, you might like it. Yeah, it might be better than Mega Giffy.
Yeah, it might even be better than Mega Giffy. But, you know, but the only thing I miss, really, I mean, I don't really miss her too much because she was whining all the time. You know?
Oh, right. Yeah.
So, but I do miss the occasional pub, like, you know, we'll cider every now and then.
Yeah.
But who knows? You might find someone else there, like, you know.
Well, yeah, but you might find something better than that.
Yeah, you never know.
You might find cider made out of mangoes.
Mango cider.
Yeah.
But I might find some obscure fruit that's been forgotten for millions of years, and I prevented it. And
I mean, by the time you walk into the middle of the island, it could be evolved, and you could be going into a pub.
Yeah, you never know.
Which is more than we can do out here, I can tell you.
Yeah, and you know, I could walk straight through the forest there and go into this bar and they say, "Well, Captain Addy, ain't seen you for a long time."
I know. They may all know you.
Well, that would totally confuse me, that would.
That would be mad, particularly if you go in there and you actually meet yourself in the future.
Yeah, and they say, well, so it's the first time I've seen you. and he might say, well, you was only here last week.
Yeah.
Oh, that would totally do me, that word.
That would be very strange, wouldn't it?
It would. Oh, God, that just, no, that just tickles my brain, that do.
I'll tell you what, I hope you're keeping a diary of this, what's going on with you, because it'll make an interesting book, wouldn't it?
Well, you never know. I mean, if one ever get back, but I don't know, I may not want to, so I may not even write about it.
No, you might want to lay on the beach drinking mango cider.
Well, yeah, it all depends what's further on, doesn't it? I don't know what it might be.
Well, I am sure that there is loads of things going to happen to you. I can tell. And,
yeah, I'm sure there is. Can we want to have a adventure for me?
Yeah.
But the same thing is, because I don't even know whether this is the only island. There may be, this may just be a small island. There may be other ones behind it somewhere, or whatever. I ain't got a clue.
Fascinating.
So I'm going to have to.
Well, when we speak to you again, obviously, when we speak to you again, Dave 2 will be back, and you'll be more into the island and telling us what's going on, won't you?
No, Dave won't be back. Dave 2's still on ship.
Oh, right. Yeah. As long as you don't take the ship away, you'll be all right.
Well, that's right. I mean, he's all right looking after it, but they just swap over with Dave 1 after 2-3 hours or something. Because they just, they can just swap. Their spirit,
Wow. Well, it's been immensely interesting talking to you, and I can envisage where you are, and I'm sure some people listening can as well. And a lot of people say it's fantastic. Can we go? because it's better than where we are.
A lot of people might say, what a lot of old bollocks.
Well, they might do, yeah. But I mean, you're in it, aren't you? You're in it up to your neck.
Thing is, it's happening to me, when oh God, 45 years old in
their prime of your life.
Absolutely, I'm fairly physically fit, and so bring it on.
Wow,
Captain Haddock,
Wow, Captain, the diaries of Captain Haddock.
Yeah, you never know.
Well, Captain Haddock, we will speak to you soon. It's been absolutely exhilarating talking to you.
It's been very interesting talking to you and all, because you're the only one I feel that may understand a little bit of what
I do understand. I can see where you're at. I can see it. Yeah.
So I give you, I may have an update for you this next Sunday,
Yes. Well, we look forward to Captain Haddock.
Yeah. And all right then, boyo.
Yes. We'll speak to you soon.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much, Captain Haddock. Bye. I sound like Darla then. Bye. Melanie tried to ring us. She's had a few technical problems. We are going to give her a quick ring and see if we can get her on. I know it's a little bit later than it was going to be, but let's hope we can speak to her. She's a fascinating lady. Captain Haddock, what an immense person.
Hello.
Hello, Melanie.
Hello, sorry, I'm having real trouble with the internet down here.
That's all right, don't worry. Sorry we're ringing a bit later, that we just pushed a guest in your place. How are you, Melanie? It's fantastic to speak to you.
Oh, likewise, and thank you for the lovely, inspiring words you sent me. It was fantastic.
Yeah,
honestly, it was amazing.
It's interesting because there are times when, you have messages for people, and it's not all about, oh, you must give me money for it. It's about sharing, about getting that out of your system and giving it to the person that's needed. Do you know what I mean?
It was needed, very much so.
Yeah, well, that's good.
I'm good, thank you.
For people out there, Melanie is an immense reader, and well, she's got a lot of opinions in how we live today. She's a very spiritual being, and you're online, you're on Facebook doing readings and stuff like that, aren't you?
Yeah, I love it, and you've hit the nail on the head, actually, Clint. Because it's I'm absolutely loving it because it's bringing people together.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've in the past I've belonged to groups and things which is all about the money and ego, and I absolutely hated it. So I've kind of gone a different path, if you like, and I'm really enjoying that path and open new doors to different adventures and different ways of connecting. And I just feel I'm opening up to many ways of connecting. It's fantastic. The old gypsy link is coming with me, definitely. I love it. I'm back to the crystal ball and everything.
That's brilliant. And of course, you know, it is a time of stepping up to a plate, because we chose to be here, and in a way we knew this was going to happen, that the day of evolvement would come. And obviously, within the enlightened soul that you are, your journey in this life, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, has been one to stand where you are now in your power in relation to what's going on. As many people out there, including myself, have been on.
Yeah, and I couldn't agree more. And it's interesting you say that, Clint, because obviously I've explained before I work in a care home, which can be extremely demanding.
How are you finding that working in a care home? Have you got PPE for a start?
Let's just say it was donated by the local dentist.
Well, that is just disgusting. I'm sorry. I mean,
there you go.
That sums it up, doesn't it? I mean, I go on about banging a drum about PPE for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. And you're in a work in a care home, and you're not even supplied it. You had to have it donated. That's disgusting. I'll tell you, when I said that Boris Johnson and his cronies, millionaire cronies, need to be in The Hague, and they need to have the right acts given to them, and they should be down for contempt on humanity, basically.
Do you know? I to be honest with you, like you said, I'm such an empathic person and kind, and you try and do so much for people around you, even your next door neighbor, you just that kind of people, aren't we? I think, and you try so. I'm not religious in any way, but I'm just very caring and kind.
No, but you carry a belief. You believe in you.
Yeah, and this is why I've obviously landed in these care home jobs, not by choice. It just literally fell in my lap. But the way we're treated is appalling. You know, it really is soul destroying. The self-worth just goes completely out the window.
And it must cause a lot of tension in the workplace as well with you and your colleagues. You know what I mean?
Oh, it's awful. I mean, obviously they're cut off from the world themselves. It's very doubly hard for us to we're trying to be the family, the friend, the nurse, the carer, the activities. That's what I do. I do the activities, but I'm also a carer. You know, you are there to care for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I work with dementia, and it's just mind-blowingly draining. It is.
My father died of that, and I remember when he went into a home. When obviously he needed to go in a home, he couldn't be looked after anymore, and many people there helping to make that happen, including my cousin, actually, who's listening. When he went in there, I was shocked because I used to go and visit him religiously every week, a couple of times a week, maybe sometimes. And you know, the person there said, the person that owned it said, "I'm really shocked," she said, because nobody comes visits anyone.
Oh, Clint, do you know, I could sit here and cry because, do you know what? I know, how can I put this? It's really opened my eyes to a completely different breed of humanity.
Yeah, self-centered, selfish.
Yeah,
put them in a home, forget about them, get their money, do what they want.
They're in there, out of sight, out of mind, and I've literally witnessed a fist fight over somebody dying, literally over their assets. It was just horrible, and it's really opened my eyes. And being so sensitive and clairvoyantly, openly, I feel that pain. I feel their suffering, and that's what I hate being in this environment. You feel that anger, that empathy, that pain, the suffering. And by the time I come out, I feel 100 years old half the time. I feel so drained. But I look back, and that smile and that hug and that holding the hand of somebody has made my day and made their day. And that's what it's all about. That is the kindness. And it's not about being religious. I think it's just about being a kind.
No, it's just being a soul being. Being a soul being.
Yes.
That's what it's about. Forget religion. It doesn't exist. Nature is the key. What we are in body.
Yeah, don't get me started on that. And this is why I must say I don't get involved with the NH clap, because it really, I feel like screaming the top of my voice where we're undervalued, we're underpaid.
Yeah.
You know, we're not valued in any shape, way or form. And when I pick up the paper and see a picture of a care home celebrating with an old chap on the front with two, I think lies. That's all I'm seeing through the paper, is they put in what they want you to see.
Yeah, of course they do.
And what you want to read.
Yeah, you're absolutely
it just
right.
makes me evil.
Matthew says hello to you, Matthew John, and and he says that's good, Melanie, as money doesn't exist anyway. And he says dementia is so sad, looking after adult babies. Bless you, Melanie, for the unappreciated and undervalued. I totally agree with him, because, you know, hasn't it taken 2 months for them to suddenly realise, what about all the people in care homes?
Yeah.
This government are shocking. Absolute disgrace.
Does it take a crisis to open people's eyes? You know, and I said to a lady today in work for enough, and she was in tears and seeing her mum, and I've got to comfort her, which I don't mind, because I love doing that anyway. It's a part of who you are, isn't it?
Yeah.
But then you pick up a paper and see that the bullshit that is put in these papers every day for millions and millions of people to read, and you're in that care room, you're starving hungry because you haven't had time for a break. You look at your pay, it's never paid correctly. Your doctor half-hour break, but you never even had.
Yeah. And
it's soul destroy it. And then after that, you've got to go to Tesco's and queue up for 2 hours for a loaf of bread.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think I've done all that today, and that's the thanks I get.
Yeah. And
it's so,
you know,
destroying.
the NHS, the successive governments, not just this one, have let down the people, have sold the NHS down the river. And I wouldn't be all surprised after all this that they're going to try and sell it to America, because I'm convinced some of that will happen, because they're so in hand with each other.
Oh, totally. I mean, do you know, it makes me wonder. I mean, forgive me for saying, but I mean, if it
you say whatever you like, Melanie. This is an open forum.
Where is this money going that this Captain Tong's raised? 50,
well, yeah,
35,
precisely.
And I think, oh yeah, watch your space.
Yeah.
I mean, they're arguing over the interest rate where that's going, let alone the money.
Yeah, but there is a I can't remember what they're called, but there is a funding body behind that, isn't there? Which you're going to get like 5 or 6 million out of that.
Yeah.
You know, so it won't be that total. That's all manner of different people giving money. And to be, I take my hat off to him for doing it. I think he was dutiful.
Yeah.
And it comes from a time where people had the sense of duty and the things you're talking about that doesn't exist in our reality now.
No.
Unfortunately.
And I admire him for that, because he's done that for the kindness of, and this is what's lacking. And do you know, it makes me angry, Clint, when I look at telly at night when I finish work and you're knackered and whatever, and you sit and watch these families on there about home baking and sit in their garden. That's how it used to be.
Yes.
People used to look after their neighbours. People used to sit and talk to their family for hours, not on Facebook or. What is wrong with people? Does it take a crisis to bring people together? Clearly it does.
Well, clearly it does. But even then, it causes division, because they would call many of us, people like myself, people like you, people like Matthew John, many people, they call us as conspirators and all manner of different things. I don't like being lied to. And you know, one of the reasons I do the show is because I want people to know there's some cement between the bricks that actually is not really cement. And, you know, it's
that's what's behind it. That's what's been between those bricks.
Yeah.
You know, and it makes me feel, and you know, it's funny today, actually, I was chatting again today with a colleague today, and you know, I think as much as I'm trying to reflect that fear from myself, people around me, my daughter, my family, I'm trying to reflect that fear.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to give them positive thoughts and positive encouraging words every day and say, look, don't absorb it. And there's only so much you can do. But I think at the end, do you know what really actually worries me is the backlash of what's going to happen now. What is going to happen when all these shops open? Yes. How is people going to react to the pubs? It is going to be absolutely pandemic.
It's going to be chaos. It's going to be chaos.
Yeah.
Because
it is. It's more terrifying than the virus.
Yeah, it is. Because, I mean, what I've said already, the real burden here will be the psychological damage that's gone on with people. In relation to what they've had to go through, because a lot of people can't sit and look at themselves. They have to go and do something to get away from themselves. Forced to not do that, and they're being forced to spend time with people that they only see in short bouts, you know, partners or whatever. And the poor families, the wives, the one parent family with 2 or 3 kids, or even one child, locked up all the time. Do you know what I mean? The damage is absolutely enormous.
And the thing is, they're not putting that in the papers. They're not
No,
putting
they
in
aren't.
the physical, mental, and abuse. That you imagine a kid is. They're on about sending packed lunches. Do you think that these families that are smoking blooming weed all day and are giving those packed lunches to the kids, they're having them their bloody selves?
Yes, of course they are.
And I think we're going back to. We're not moving forward at all. We're going back to neglect, abuse, mental, physically, and those poor kids. They are going to suffer, and there's going to be a huge just effect on them emotionally. Is terrifying, but they're not seeing the bigger picture. And I really think there's going to be a massive backlash of what's really going to happen now. And this is the real shit's going to hit the fan in a minute.
I think you're right.
When these places are going to open, I dread it.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. But I mean, they're open. I mean, obviously, the supermarkets and that are all open and everything. But as I said, I think last week or the week before, I can't remember. You queue up and it's all very nice, and you go in there, and then it's all hands to the pump. Anyone goes anywhere, basically. There's no real social distancing once you're in a supermarket.
No, it's impossible.
Of course it is.
Impossible. And I think, like you said, I mean, when you and I and people like you and I are very like-minded, and I always try and look at the bigger picture. I've never been, like I said, tunnel visioned. I've never been tunnel visioned. I always look at the bigger picture and trying at the aftermath of it. Like you said, you imagine millions and millions of children are sat home now, bored out their brains. They've lost contact with their friends, their families.
They've lost human
education.
Contact. They've lost human contact. And I'll tell you what, that is absolutely paramount. I mean, they were moaning before that all the kids sit indoors on PlayStations and games and things like that. Now they're telling everyone to do that. And they're saying there should be interaction. They should be out. They should be mixing in with people and stuff like that. Well, a lot of these people are already damaged.
And the future generation, I mean, what on the earth is that going to bring? I mean, they're on about kids going back to what? I mean, I've heard January. God help them if they're not. And like you said, those kids are going to go back to school numb with fear, numb with not being able to. They forget how. I mean, they're talking about social anxiety. You're just telling me that ain't going to be heightened now. It's going to be horrendous.
Yeah. These
poor kids and the parents, like you said, they must be ripping their hair out. They've got no food, they've got no money. But
no one's talking about any of that. No one. There's nothing. There's nothing on television to highlight the people that are suffering right now. There's quiet. It's dead. Nobody's actually standing up saying, "I haven't got any money. I haven't got any food, and I queue in food banks to get my food." They are in America, miles of it.
Yeah. I mean, now, like I said, I mean, like they're on about help for NHS. Do you know what? I paid I won't say where I work because that'd be horrendous. But where I've had to pay for a special card that I work with for an NHS, and that card is meant to help me get to the front of the queue and things like that. Do you know what? Most stores don't accept it. The bosses refuse to pay for it. So all the days that I'm working there, I do 12-hour shifts most days, and I've got to go to the back of a 2-hour queue and wait. It's not that I don't want to be better than anybody else. It's the support.
That's disgusting.
It's the support.
That's disgusting. I mean, and it must be very. And what I'm about to talk about is, well, before I talk about it, I'll just add some comments that people said. It. Matthew John said a few comments. He said it commissioned from Just Giving as all companies cream off the top, and he says start to make a change in your own vibration. The rest will come. Those who won't see it ever, and that's okay. And the time for helping to awaken people is over as the great divide is upon us. You either have the capacity to critically think or you follow the rest of the herd. And to a degree, I agree with him because we sit in a
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, what are they, sheep? I mean, that is offensive to a sheep, for God's sake. I don't personally go out and clap. I'm on the radio at that time of night. I won't do it.
And I won't go out and clap because I know that these people are dedicated in their job. We don't need to go out, and they're not just clapping now. They're ringing bells, putting fireworks, all manner of different things. It's gone silly, really stupid. And most of these people are not socially distanced either. And, on top of that, and I know this won't go down well with people, the one thing that drives me absolutely bonkers is the fact that you see all these hospitals, which clearly are not busy. They're not busy because the nurses have got time or the doctors got time to rehearse dance maneuvers that they all strategically do. And you know, I know that they need to let off steam. I know they need to relax and things like that. But these things are choreographed. You know what I mean, don't you?
I know what you mean. Yeah, I know. And it's interesting you say that again, because obviously being in the care industry, I know quite a few people that work in hospitals and care homes all over the country. And I know 3 people that are nurses, and the wards are dead.
Yeah.
There's nobody in them. And it's like I said, we pick up a paper, and I said to my daughter tonight, they're on about so many people dying of this virus, okay? You know, we don't know though. I know it's awful to hear it, and I'm not saying that I'm not.
I know what you're going to say,
but it's all. I just really feel it's all made up. It's all millions of people die every day of cancer, like you said before, of flu. That's a normal process of life. They are just setting in a fear of everybody, and everybody is feeling that. The amount of people that I know is having anxiety attacks every night, they can't sleep. It's terrible.
Yeah, it is, because they're actually driven by that whole herd mentality. Do you know what I mean? And they haven't got a thought to themselves, and they wouldn't dare think. You know, the things I'm saying here. You know, it sounds terrible. Some people say, "My God, it's disgusting." My whatever is a nurse and whatever. I'm not being detrimental to anyone in the NHS. It's just that I've seen too many things that don't make sense to me. And this is on top of a government that 3 months down the line nearly that still have problems supplying PPE. And I'm talking to you that in a care home 3 months later, and you have it donated. It's disgraceful. And on top of that, testing. I bet none of you have been tested, have you?
No, none of us. And we're still taking in residents from other places, from hospitals and everything.
And I bet they're not tested either.
No.
And you know, if you're traveling from Italy, Korea, I don't know, Japan, anywhere in the world, and some of the hot spots, you're flying into Heathrow. As I started off the show, Simon Heathcote, he came into Heathrow, nobody stopped him, nobody checked him, and he just walked straight into this country.
This is what I don't understand.
Well, that's where the hypocrisy of it. That's when they're insulting my intelligence, because I'm a very intelligent person, and they're not being intelligent because they're clearly letting people in that actually, you know, should be quarantined. And, you know, on the telly this morning, they were saying on that fake news they come out with, the minister was saying, well, most people know they got a quarantine. Well, that's not good enough. Do you know what I mean?
It's gone. And do you know what? It's funny because I mean, well, it's not funny actually. It's really pissing me off. This I forgot his blooming name now. The one that just had the baby, and my head's gone blank now. Oh, what's his bloody name? Forgot his bloody name now. Oh, that's gone out my head. I've lost the plot. But I'm just fed up with it. I mean, do you know what? I'm trying my hardest, like you said, not to allow it to get you. And I mean, and you've got to stand in your power. You've got to believe in strong. You've got to keep positive. And you've got everyone around you to keep positive. And I think people like you and I and Matthew there, we're so used to being comfortable with our own company. It empowers me, actually. I don't need hundreds of people around me. I'm okay where I am. And at the moment I'm actually saying to myself, do you know, I am where I'm meant to be. It's okay where I am, and I'm okay. But people are on a completely different level, sadly, and they have no concept or no reality of actually being able to be comfortable.
No, I totally agree. That's the worst thing possible. You know,
exactly.
They don't. This starts. I'm always talking about the root of problems and issues. The root of everything has to start from not just at home, but in school. We're not taught about love. We're not taught about how we actually grow, how we evolve, how we should be free-spirited. We're conditioned. Do you know what I mean?
Right from the start.
Yes, right from the start. You go to school and you're conditioned. You lose so many things when you go to school.
I agree. And like you said, you're told to do this, you're told to say that. Even the sexuality now, you know, told this, told that. I mean,
but sexuality, don't even get me started on that, because they don't
even get me started.
Yeah, well, it's disgusting, to be honest, because at school, you're taught sex education, whereas you meet a woman or you meet a man, vice versa, or you meet now a transgender or whatever it is you meet. and you give your power to that person. In other words, you give your love to that person because that's what you're meant to do in this reality. What they don't teach in school, and people might go, oh my God, that's shocking, you can't say things like that. What they should teach in school is self-love and masturbation, basically, which is actually you love yourself first, that's body and soul, and then you come to a conclusion within inside yourself of the day that you need somebody to share that space with. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
But they don't teach it.
Agree.
They do not teach that in sex education now. And it's wrong.
No, it is wrong. And I think people, thousands, and this is why we are now at this crisis point. And I don't think it's a crisis point as in the virus. It's a crisis point as in humanity. Everyone have just lost their way in life. They don't know where they're going. They don't know who they are, what they are, where they're doing, and what they're doing. They've completely lost the plot. And we are a very, very mixed, massively mixed, well, race, if you want to call it. It's terrifying. And I'm just so glad. I want to say that I'm glad I had my kids when I did, because they're grown up now. And for the future generation, my belief is hopefully that all these new souls that are coming here, my God, they need some strength now.
Well, they do,
really
because
wisdom and strength to this planet.
Yeah, the world we're wandering into is a world where we're going to be social distancing forever, where people won't hold hands, people won't hug each other. You know, young babies growing up now in 10 years' time, they won't even know what a hug is.
No. And yet, not long ago, we were doing National Hug Day.
Yes.
It's mental. And it was a National Talk Day. And now you're lucky if you talk to somebody physically. It's all over Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah.
We're like robots. We're like just programmed brainwashed robots using technology.
But in a way, in our working life, why it doesn't work is because we are a slave race. We're a slave race. And that slave race is where you must do things by certain times. You have to go and do this job because you have to earn money. Because if you're lucky enough to own your own house, you've got 25 years before you're going to pay it off. Otherwise, you have it taken away. And you know, you can put food on your table and live, but you're taxed to the hill everywhere you go in every shape or form. It's wrong.
Totally. And like I said the other day to someone, actually, funny enough you said that, instead of clapping, and I take my hat off to them, but I've always took my hat off to them. These people, these ambulance drivers, these helicopter rescuers, doctors, nurses, they are incredibly credible people. Why should it take a crisis for them to be recommended or even recognised as deep human beings? Don't give them a clap. Don't tax them. Give them pay rises.
Yeah.
You know, don't tax them on the overtime they've just done.
If we go back a few years, or that long ago, I can't remember the exact time, there was a vote in the Commons for that, and virtually every single member of the Conservative Party voted against them getting a pay rise.
Oh, it makes me so livid. It makes me so, and now it's all about the NHS, And I think, but it should be about them. They're amazing beings.
Yes.
For them to do what they're doing, save lives every day and support people that come in distraught with accidents and it's just they're phenomenal people. They should be recognised on a daily basis, not when something like this happens.
I want to read you something, and I'm going to read out a few comments in a minute, but I want to read you something that's in a national newspaper. That's obviously in every national newspaper today.
Go on.
Which is an advert for coronavirus. Big front page, not front page, but one page spread. Coronavirus, stay home, save lives. Not mention the NHS. Says coronavirus, stay home, save lives. Act like you've got it. It says, act like you've got it. This is an advert. Act like you've got it. Anyone can spread it. So act like you've got it. That's what it's saying.
What the hell is that about?
That's ridiculous.
You've got a virus.
Stay at home, save lives. Act like you've got it. Whoever wrote that, well, it's pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. It's insulting. I find it disgusting.
It is. But on a scientific level, you think this virus is meant to be hitting our immune system, right? This is how I see it, 'cause I'm quite scientific in my own little way, if you like. So if it's going to affect the immune system, so by locking people away in their homes and they're all breathing in the same germs, they're not going outside, they're not becoming strong, they're not exposed to sunlight,
right.
You're telling me that after weeks and weeks of being shut away, that their immune system is not going to be lower than it's ever been, mentally and physically.
Of course it is.
They're going to go out and get anything going.
Of course it is. Then what they do, they test you and put something in your body, and they vaccinate you and put something in your body that'll kill you.
Yeah, done. And that's what the plan is all along.
And I'm not having any of it. I'm not being tested. I'm not having any vaccine. So, you know, and the problem, the problem comes when you want to go abroad, you won't be able to, because you'll have to show a paper saying you have been vaccinated. That's the fourth right agenda that sits here. And if that sounds draconian, just take a look at your world right now out there, because we're in an absolute draconian state. Do you know what I mean? Matthew says we live in their society. Can you name it? No, I don't go out and clap, as I know. So I missed that. It's gone up. Just move it up a bit. As I know, you're giving energy basically away to ones in control. Doesn't mean I don't appreciate the NHS. He's probably got diplomatic status and doesn't need anything. He's talking about Boris. And Matthew says, I've been socially distancing for 20 years. And he says the indoctrination of children to breed out of the knowledge and keep the masses down. This was a concept out of Germany in World War II. Order out of chaos in the New World Order. And we must, in a stand that the NHS is part of an army corporation to keep us slaves producing. And that all sounds a bit mad. In lots of ways, it isn't. We are in a situation where, you know, it's not that long ago. You remember what we've had here. It's not just about now the coronavirus. We had 3 years of Brexit that divided people. Then we had a general election.
Well, that's yesterday's news.
Yeah, then we had general election, divided people. And then at the same time, Boris Johnson was in court, and what he did in shutting down Parliament was illegal, but they still did it. And before we went lockdown, where the weather was absolutely shite. Cold, wet, damp. We go in lockdown. It's beautiful days.
And then they're penalising people for going outside for a walk.
Yeah. Well, I think people are starting to get fed up with it, to be honest. I mean,
well, it's funny to say that. I mean, I don't know about you, where you live, but I tell you what, round by me, the roads are just so busy now. There's cyclists out everywhere.
Yeah.
There's families. I mean, not just one or two. There's gangs of cyclists, 20, 15 people cycling up and down the roads on the Long Ashton Road where I work along right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there's loads of traffic on the road. It is, people are just ignoring it now. They're getting fed up now. They've had enough. They want to be with their families. We're not caged animals, you know.
No, we don't live in a zoo.
I hate that.
We don't live in a zoo.
It's unnatural. It's not. The only thing we've got left, Clint, is our freedom. That's all we've got left. We pay tax, like you said. We're dictated by a analog clock. We're dictated how we work, how much we earn, what we spend it on, how we live, how we can afford food, everything. And the only thing we've got left is our freedom and mindfulness.
Yeah.
And that is going to be taken away.
Yeah, but
people will rebel.
Well, they will. They are pushing an agenda here. They're pushing an agenda which is for social disobedience. That's what they're pushing. And then they can put troops on the streets. Now, a lot of people think you're mad. That's absolutely ridiculous. It's not. We're more than halfway there.
It's logic. We're seeing logic. I mean, do you know what? That Boris Johnson, you're telling me that he was on death row, basically. He was in an intensive care unit, and he said today in the paper that they was going to announce he was going to die. Couple of days later, after he'd been in intensive care, he's up running around and talking to people. You're telling me that someone that's been in intensive care on that level of illness would be what he's doing now?
I can't agree with you more, because if you look at poor old Kate Garraway's husband's been in there weeks.
Yeah.
And still on critical. But, you know, what's interesting, Linda Basset pointed out earlier on, is the fact that when he came out, he immediately went to checkers with Carrie, who had it as well. who was pregnant, apparently, but I'm very dubious about that, to be honest, because they announced they were going to have a baby, and he was going to get engaged in the end of February, and they're going to have a baby in summer, and they had the baby the 28th of April. They, I'm sorry, but I'm a fairly intelligent person, and I just find, I mean, a lot of people say, oh, you're just, people do not want to see it, even when you tell them it. But the fact is, we do sit in a society now where you know yourself with the people you deal with, and obviously I work in the spirit world, as you know, and a lot of what people talk about right now is what's going to happen. What's going to happen? Do you know what I mean? Because they're looking for guidance and all sorts of that, and obviously you get a lot of people want to know, is their relationship going to be all right when they're parted from their loved one, their boyfriend, their girlfriend, or whatever. And what's going on in that as well. Do you know what I mean? Because I know that there's phones and there's social media and all sorts, but it comes back to social interacting. Do you know what I mean?
So what about the people that like, look at these old elderly people in their little houses and their little bungalows. So that generation have no concept of how to even phone somebody on a mobile phone or go on the internet or click on Facebook or Instagram. How are they feeling?
Yeah. And worse than that, these people are being socially disbanded, disregarded, because the logic that comes from government is today they're testing a tracker app that you put on phones, and in the Isle of Wight they're doing it, track and trace, which means if you come across anyone that's got it, it's going to alert them, which means that's well against any civil liberties you got. That's not quite facial recognition they got in Japan and China, but it's running down that road. Do you know what I mean? And look at the old people. A lot of them ain't got phones. Do you know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying. They have no concept of social media. They have no concept of how to go on Facebook Live and all this malarkey. In our care homes is a fine example. All the younger generation like myself have got to help them. They have no. If it weren't for that, they'd have no contact with their family.
Yeah.
And that is soul destroying for a massive people that cannot visit their own parents, their grandchildren, their great grandchildren. Everything, their animals. It's just like the rug's been literally whipped away from all of us. Is a way of living we can't conceive of, and don't understand. We're not used to it. We're used to socializing. We're used to hugging and holding hands. And I'm a huggy person. I'm always hugging.
Yeah, me too.
You need that hug.
You do.
You need it.
You do. And I mean, as for what you said, I'm just lost for words, and it is just, baffles me the fact that donations, you've got to have PPE through donations, but it doesn't in a way, because my cousin, his partner is a carer and goes out to people's homes, and she didn't have face masks. He got them from his work and he provided them for her. It's disgusting.
It's terrible. I heard through the grapevine, somebody told me a couple of weeks ago that they knew about this last year. They knew about it in September, October.
They
in America. Did. So why have they left it so long?
A few years ago, not that many, maybe 2, maybe a bit less. They did a what do you call it? A test. In other words, they did it as if we had it. Do you know what I mean? But they were doing what was to come. They were just getting ready for what was to come. Bill Gates stood up in 2015, did presentations on coronavirus, pictures of it that we see on our news. Do you know what I mean? In 2015, he stood up and told people about this disease.
No, I know. Like you said, you read, with when somebody posted the other day that it was mentioned in a paper or somewhere in 1982.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it's the same old cliche though, isn't it, Clint? It's like with the flu. It is the flu is a huge killer. This is a strain of flu. There's 12 strains, I think, of any flu, and this is obviously a stronger strain.
I've said it all the way along that we're not in a pandemic. We're living in, and some people would agree with me, we're living in a reality world where we have a flu disease, and that can, and as you say, many levels to that flu disease. Do you know what I mean? And it's down to the capability of how we deal with that. And if we haven't got a good immune system, if it's, I think, as Linda said, if it's time to go, then you're not here. Do you know what I mean? I don't mean that as it sounds. I'm not being, I'm not, you know, when our time's up, we can't hold on to, we can't hold on to something if it's meant to go.
And I believe that, and I think, do you know, actually, you've hit the nail on the head there. I mean, I like to see myself as a very positive person, and I get up every day, and I have that mindset every day, and I will not put that telly on. I refuse to put that telly on and listen to the crap on the telly. I'd rather sit in my garden, listen to the birds singing. That's me. That's how I am. I go in my own zone. I go to work, and I bring in that light. I bring in the positivity. I bring in the cheer. I bring in the laughter, and it makes me feel good. But do you know what really pisses me off? When I go down a road and someone avoids me for 40 feet across the road, like you've got some sort of disease. Because the fear is in, and it makes you feel terrible.
Yeah, I know.
Hang on a minute.
But those people need educating.
Being very empathic.
Those people need educating. They have fear written all over them.
Yes.
You know, you walk in a supermarket, people are running away from you. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
But what they got to do is take a bit of a rain check. And I know, again, people won't like what I'm going to say. But the fact is, yes, it's terrible. This loss is terrible. 28,000 or whatever in this country, right? In the what, 4 months, 3 months or whatever we've had this. Just to put it in perspective. And people won't like this because it won't involve them and they won't have to look at it. Today alone, today, not a month, 1 day, today, 27,855 people have died of hunger.
Now, do you see that broadcasted everywhere?
Of course you don't.
You do, not to the mass extent. We can't do nothing about that. And we can, but the greedy people that store all that money in their banks, the filthy, stinking millionaires and billionaires, you're telling me that if that money weren't divided and shared equally, that they will be still starving? That's
nobody should be starving. It's the same as I bang a drum for the homeless all the time in this country. I bang a drum for the homeless all the time in this country because unfortunately, you know, nobody cares.
No, they don't care.
And you know, when the winners, when Harry and Meghan got married, they moved them all.
You hit the nail on the head again. You must have read my mind. I was just about to say that. And also, when we had that really bad snow, and apparently they were dying on bus stops. They were dying in shop corners and shelters. And they're saying that there was a certain temperature that they were allowed to sleep out in. Yeah. How disgusting is that? I know. And don't even get me started on the royal family because I'm here all night.
Well, you're probably like me on that one, to be honest.
Don't even, it makes my blood boil.
Yeah.
I tell you what, if I could create a few voodoo dolls of I think I'd have a go.
Well, it's a very dysfunctional family, and actually the only royal that really exists in my eyes was Princess Diana, who was murdered.
It was Diana, Queen of Hearts.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what a beautiful soul she was.
Yeah, she was. I know nobody's perfect. None of us are perfect. You know, in extreme circumstances, look back on your life. Look back on mine. You've had to make difficult decisions. You've been put in difficult places. And, you know, this person was not accepted because she was different, because she actually was more popular than any of them.
And they hated it.
Yeah.
They hated it, and I think Diana was the one that shook the royal family. It actually, and again, it made people wake up to the reality of what was going on behind closed doors. Yeah. And boy, the strength and the determination that must have gone through that, the fear that have gone through that woman to sit there and talk about it openly to millions and millions of people about that book. Wow.
Yeah.
Inspiring
David
woman.
Bashir, what his name was, yeah.
Oh, and when she crossed over, I tell you what, she must have been an angel up there, because she is one phenomenal soul.
Yeah, she is.
Amazing,
and it came at a time when many other things happened. The Twin Towers and 250,000 people died in tsunami through controlled experimentation underwater. All manner of things have happened. There's no veils between anything anymore.
No.
Matthew John says government translates from Latin into mind control, and now you start to see the problem dividing your minds with the acts of Parliament. Boris never had CV. It's bullshit. He says,
I believe that too.
Matthew John, there's one lady who has enough wealth to stop world hunger 3 times over. The so-called Queen. Of course, none of them are British either.
No. I mean, come on, if that ain't corrupt, what is? If that ain't a lie, what is? And that's what makes me, and I think people are now waking up to it now. The people are waking up to the fact that she sits there, and they flew her over, private jet over to where she is over in Scotland, and like you said, there's pensioners out there who fought in the war, fought for their lives, lost their dignity, lost their identity, and still suffering probably from that. And they're sat in a little poxy little flat somewhere, starving,
too frightened to put the fire on.
Yes.
And you've got the Queen at 94 or whatever, and you've got Prince Philip at 98. Neither of them, or anyone in the royal family, has had dementia, Alzheimer's, cancer, or anything.
No, they all have homeopathic, don't they? Apparently, they all have homeopathic remedies, which I wouldn't be surprised. And you're telling me that they're going to have the vaccine? I don't think so.
No.
It's all rubbish. Like you said, it's all to control.
The thing is that when you talk about one thing, when I went around the world doing talks on all sorts of subjects, you can't talk about one thing. You've got to talk about many things, because it's not just about coronavirus. It's about a huge catalogue of things that's happening and is happening. I mean, the royal family are corrupt, have been for decades, centuries. I mean, I don't know if you watch Game of Thrones, but Game of Thrones gives you a good idea what royal families and what people in power do. They do whatever they want.
Because they can. They can, and that's exactly what they're doing, And like you said, we're just the Muppets beneath them, really. And if you go back to the Roman times, that's exactly the empire, and the servants, and the homeless, and the scum, and the slaves, and that's exactly what's happened into modern day, and it will continue to do so until people actually wake up. And if they don't wake up, I think they'll come back, and they'll come back, and they'll come back. And like you said, as much as I say to myself sometimes, I don't belong here, I don't belong in this era, I don't belong in this body. But like you said, we've chose to come here to fight that reason.
Yeah. We chose to be here. We chose this time. And we chose look at your upbringing into relation to what you are now in the very strong spiritual being you are. Very difficult journey. It is for everyone who works in spirit. And it's almost knocks the stuff at you and almost takes you to the point of suicide yourself at times. And
trust me.
It does. And we stand, and we've gone through that, and we now stand at a place that we are truth in our own self. Now, a lot of people say, well, it's just your truth, but it isn't just my truth, because not just you agree with me, Matthew agrees with me, thousands of people agree with me. The internet is swamped with people agreeing with what I'm saying and you're saying. Do you know what I mean?
I agree. And it's interesting though, Clint, because like my daughter, bless her, I mean, she've had it real. She was very badly bullied at school. I won't go into it online, but she was very badly bullied for being different, for being unique. She's extremely creative. She's an amazing person. Very strong. She's very strong now, but years ago she wasn't. And she's at college now, and the pressure of going to college and exams. This time, she said to me the other day, she'd been through hell and back. I nearly lost her 2 years ago. She tried to take her own life and everything. She was bullying. It's horrendous. She now have said to me, this is the best her mind has ever been. She's at peace with herself. She's at one with herself. She's happy at home. She's happy sat in the garden because she's not pressured. She's not bullied from outside world. She's lived in her own world and is the happiest she's ever been. And when we become okay with that, when we are at one with ourselves, I think that is when we actually find a strength within us. And like you said, we're survivors, Clint. And that's the difference.
We are survivors. We've been there. We've been there. We pay milk bills with pennies. We haven't had anything. Then we've lost everything. Then we get something. And then we open ourselves up and we gain. It's not about money. Yeah. It's about what you feel inside yourself. If you can stand in your own power and be yourself, then nothing can really hurt you.
No. And I believe that. And like you said to me on the message you gave me the other day, those messages were very well welcomed, because I was at a point in my life, I think I've just, you get that we're only human.
Yeah, of
you get to a
course.
stage where I can't take it. Then all of a sudden, spiritually, something else happens. Do you think, what am I doing? You snap yourself out of it,
Yeah.
and you become stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. And sometimes I could feel I could take on the world, where I've got so much energy
Yeah.
and so much life in me. I just feel fantastic, and I will rise above this, and we will get through it.
We will.
But I think, like you said, when we see through the lines, we see through the lies. That's what really sometimes just irritates me.
We can't all be wrong. Do you know what I mean? All these
No.
people that are blinkered and blind, we can't all be wrong. Where you've got people like you, me, Matthew, and millions of other people out there right now that are questioning everything. And we have to. And it's okay for people to say, well, you shouldn't really do that because you should just go with it. Well, I'm sorry, but in history, you have to have people that stand out and say no. Martin Luther King, if he didn't stand out, nothing would happen.
Abraham Lincoln.
Yes.
Look at them.
Yes.
You could go on and on, and they were solid frontiers of this world, you know. And I think this is where and it is about igniting our light. It is shining our light. It's about being who we want to be. And I think when we feel empowered and we feel strong, like I said, I'm actually really content to be how I am. But when I think, actually, for a woman, I think, oh my God, in a minute, this is going to open, that's going to open. Watch this space, because I think there's going to be so much trouble. It's going to be worse than what's happening now.
Oh,
God
yeah.
that's all I say.
For things to get good, you've got to go through the bad. It's a bit like having coronavirus or flu, if you like. You've got to you had to come out and get the good.
Yeah.
Matthew Johnson, he says, I think we must stop with trying to convince others. We are the new system, must unite together. I agree.
But on a positive note, my God, we talk about the planet. I'm very in tune with the planet, the vibrations of the planet, the air, the clouds, the sky, the trees, the birds. I go on and it feels amazing. I can, for the first time ever, I can start smelling grass.
I know.
I cannot tell you how long it is. A simple thing like that. I was like, I can actually smell the fresh grass outside.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Something has really changed massively. And wow, amazing. And we've got to just embrace that.
We have. I totally
sail
agree.
Through it.
You as always have been absolutely amazing, Melanie.
Thank you. Likewise.
Amazing guest, and keep up your work and everything. It's phenomenal. And
thank you. I hope we meet someday, maybe.
Yeah, I'm sure we will. One of these days, we'll our paths will cross. I'm sure.
It'd be great.
And obviously we'll get you on again in a month or so's time as well. So that'd be really good as well. I always valued the guests because they have very strong opinions and ideas and everything. And I think it's really important. I think everyone brings something different to a table. That's one of the reasons I do this show, is that your voices would not be heard because they wouldn't be on mainstream TV because you won't be allowed on it. And
true.
And
this is why you're important, because like you said, people like you and I do struggle because we don't really talk to like-minded people on a daily basis. We got to deal with the moguls of the world.
Yeah.
So to talk to you tonight, and for all the people listening, fair shout to you, because we're all on a higher vibration, and we will survive this.
Yeah.
And hopefully we won't come back.
Yeah. Yeah.
I hope not.
I think it's the last incarnation. But the last parting shot really is the fact that when this started, the first thing that you instinctively felt inside yourself, I feel, was that it was a load of rubbish. Because I certainly did. I certainly did.
Straight away.
Yeah.
I was like, this is bollocks. Excuse the expression. I thought, this ain't right. It was that inner gut intuition.
Yeah. And that's what we run with. And I was exactly the same.
Yes. Me too.
Exactly the same.
Thank you. Anyway, you take care. Be strong, be positive.
Absolutely.
And keep going.
Absolutely. And it's fantastic to meet you, Melanie. Thank you very much. And sorry we had a few problems with you, but we got there, so that's all right.
We got there in the end. I got there in the end.
Fantastic.
Cheers,
all right.
Keep
up the good work. Bye. Speak soon. Bye. There it is, Melanie Kelloway. A bit later than we thought, but absolutely phenomenal. As Linda Basset was, and as Fay was, and as Captain Hadit was as well. What is interesting with that and how that would pan out? Oh, anything can happen there. Captain had it stuck in a dimension, luckily away from us by the looks of it, and watching evolution. Can you imagine that? Getting onto a beach and watching a fish climbing out of the sea, growing legs and walking up into the bush, and then actually growing, you know, other legs, and seeing evolution happen. Phenomenal. Takes millions of years, apparently. Apparently so. That is, unless we were created by something else. But that's another story. Thank you very much for watching tonight. Don't forget, you can come back to the Inview any time you like, because and if you subscribe, you can come on in and watch all the Inviews and all the Inview Connects. This will be put out onto Facebook, so you can watch it again. And as always, I thank all the guests tonight, and I thank all of the people that's commented tonight as well. The show is very important to me, because it's an open dialogue space, and that open dialogue is really important. And we can't shut down freedom of speech. It's really important that we do not ever let that happen. So just to let you know who's on the show next week, we've been booking up guests over the course of the last the next month or so. Just to let you know who's on next week. We have got Susan Hallwell, who's been on before, lives down in Cornwall, lovely lady. Karen Jane Price, who is a reader and many different things. Caroline Lewis, who's never been on the show before, cannot wait because her partner Louis Lewis, it's his birthday tomorrow, and lots of people know Louis Lewis out there. Lovely guy, immense bloke. He's 50 tomorrow. What about that? So happy birthday to you. So Susan Hallwell, Karen Jane Price, Caroline Lewis, and Teresa Sell, bringing our stars for May, for whatever's going to happen. And then the 17th of May, we got Patrick Gamble, Helen Cornell, Matthew John, and Viv Johnson. So, and a lot more coming up as well. So there's loads and loads and loads. Remember, the Thursday night show is very much about you taking part. It's not about me bringing guests. It's very much about you taking part, you ringing up, you having your voice and say whatever you feel. If you've got strong feelings for what's been said tonight on this show, then please come on the show. Or you can text 07403 436 942, or you can ring that number as well when we're live on air. Or you can send a comment if you want to say something, or you have questions, or you want to bring a topic up. Then Facebook me in Messenger, or Facebook me in Messenger, or WhatsApp me and message me. All right. I hope you enjoyed the show tonight. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's always really good. Lovely people. Thanks to again to Captain Hadit, Melanie, and Linda, and of course Faye. And we will catch up with each other again on Thursday evening. Have a fantastic week out there. Stay safe, and it's been really good to be part of your lives. Thank you very much.